Hey everybody, Renegade 67 and or 8 here with some more Let's Play stream Faith's Day Night of the Blind Variety. So last time, Gilly was showing up and we were talking about Gilgamesh and like, oh, what's the deal with him? And, Saber and Rin are like, he's got too many noble phantasms, they must be fake. And Cheryl's like, what, are you guys stupid? Even though he's usually the stupid. And he's like, no, they're not fake. I know because I am secretly a servant on the inside. Or, maybe he's a mechanic and just even if he can see them and look at them and know that they look good, that doesn't mean he can know the inside is good. The fact that he could judge all that when they were so fast in an instant, that's some shanky wanky stuff. Gilly is a side character, not important to the plot whatsoever, of course. Oh yeah, that's right. I guess I did this before I started the video. I don't know. Gilly's not listed in voices. Gilgamesh, the new old archer, the old archer that's new again, is not listed, which is weird because he seems pretty important. Maybe they're holding off until something. I don't know. It seems weird that he's not shown. Um, but anyways, my powers are not enough, so I must at least select an appropriate king in my place. Right? Okay, of course. Back to her stupid wish. She asserts it as if it's nothing to do with her. Shiro is truly the most powerful and knowledgeable mechanic. If there's one thing Shiro's good at, it's being a mechanic, even being a magical mechanic. It's too bad that either, like, I'm not saying that couldn't help him much with the war. He just hasn't used it to help him much with the war because he's, kind of a stupid, but, that's just not dash 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 dash. Her words really make me angry. So like March 20th is supposed to be when there's a Sonic announcement. I'm sorry, this is out of nowhere. It just popped into my head. And like, oh my gosh, the rumors that there's going to be an adventure remake are strong. I don't think there needs to be one for me to be happy. But like an adventure-esque game, I don't know. That's the only thing that would really truly make me Sonic happy. Sorry, that was on my mind, so I felt like saying it. What's the point of being intelligent when you want to die? If he was really intelligent, he would realize his Wolverine powers and figure out a better way to kill himself. If that was really his end goal, and he could be smarter to kill himself in a better manner. Even if he wanted to kill himself, he keeps killing himself in gruesome ways, like the way Berserker killed him. God, that would hurt. Like, he keeps putting himself in situations that hurt him. It's not just that he wants to die, I think. I think he does want to die. But I think on some level, he enjoys the pain. And yes, he's not dying, and that sucks, and he probably wants to die. But, like, if he really wanted to die, he would smarten up and realize how to die better. I think he also just generally enjoys the pain. And not dying means he gets more chances to put himself in harm's way and take more pain. So, I mean, yeah, there's the death wish, but also just more pain wish, maybe? Adventure remake with boost mechanics. I will kill you. Okay, that's a joke. I'm sorry, but you just got the anger out of me. That's one of my Berserk buttons. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Wise Fool. Don't even joke about that. Don't you put any fucking boost mechanics in my goddamn adventure. I don't like the boost. If I'm being honest, I replayed Adventure 2 recently. I don't like Sonic's gameplay very much in that. I feel like, to be fair, I'm someone who generally only plays games once. I'm just, live in the moment, move on to the next game. I don't replay games very often. I feel like Sonic and Shadow's stories, to me, got by on their spectacle alone back in the day. But replaying, I don't like that style of play. I prefer Adventure 1. I prefer Sonic's style there. It's a little more open. It could be better, but Adventure 2 I think was a step down in my opinion. It was sort of going on the line to boost. I prefer Adventure 2 style to boost style, but I feel like Adventure 2 was sort of heading down the boost path. At least if we're talking about Sonic and Shadow. I like the treasure hunting. That's what I like. I love the searching around. Back in the day, I remember thinking of the treasure hunting as my least favorite, but it's totally swapped because I guess I have more patience, whereas back in the day I wanted to get to the next story section because I love the story in the game, and I still do, but I already know what it is, so I'm not in any rush, so I'm able to take my time and enjoy the treasure hunting. Anyways, he's enjoying the pain in a more fuck I deserve this way and less sexually pleasure way. Oh, yeah. Her words really make me angry. Okay, off of the Sonic. Sorry, I was just in a Sonic mood. I'm always in a Sonic mood, but I'm especially in a Sonic mood now because it's coming up. We might get an adventure remake or something, but it might not be, and then my Sonic mood will be dead. But if we do, then my Sonic mood will stay alive and be more alive than it's been in a while. But anyways, her words really make me angry. You idiot! Wake up! Yeah, thank you. Actually, Shiro, I agree.
王の責務なんて関係ない。セイバーはこうしてここにいるんだから、あとは自分のやりたいことだけやってればいいんだ。
Nope. You're saying the wrong things, Shiro. I agree with what you're saying, but you're saying the wrong things. You're too stupid to realize. God, I know you're just speaking from the heart, but fuck your heart. You're stupid. The duty of the king doesn't matter. You're here, so after all, your heart wants to die, so fuck your heart. The duty of the king doesn't matter. You're here, so you should do what you want to now. That's not her MO at all, Shiro. Like, what you really want to say, if you actually want to convince her to like herself, is like, say that, you were a good king. 10 years is a good amount. You should start with that, not with this. You're just going to make her more affirmative in her own beliefs because what you're saying is so opposed to her beliefs that she's going to object adamantly. Dash, or say nothing because she likes you and just doesn't want to get in a fight with you.
セイバーは強いんだろ。なら、さっさと戦いを終わらせて、聖杯を手に入れて、サーバントなんてやめればいい。
Shiro, you're wanting her to be super selfish, but you yourself aren't that selfish. I guess this is you being selfish. You want Saber to be your fuck buddy. So, in this sense, I guess this is the most selfish thing you've done, which is nice, but it's ignoring her feelings, which I think you can be selfish without ignoring other people's feelings. But when you ignore them to this extent, yeah. It's like I agree with you, but you're wording it, I think, really badly, and I think she's going to see that, and it's just going to make trying to convince her the right way that much harder. You're strong, right? Then finish this battle quickly, obtain the Holy Grail, and quit being a servant. Because I want to fuck you forever.
願い事があるんなら、昔に戻ってやり直しなんかするな。自分を変えたいんなら、昔じゃなくて今から取り戻す方法を取れってんだ。
If you have a wish, don't go to the past and redo everything, but that's her wish. If you want to change yourself, don't change the past, but change who you are now. Yeah, change who you are now so you stay here so you can be my fuck buddy. I mean, come on, Shiro. What you're saying now is just so selfish. At least for once in your life, you're being selfish, but... Saber doesn't answer. Of course she wouldn't. If I was her, I'd be like, fuck off, Shiro. Then again, she clearly likes Shiro, so that's different than me. I don't like him that much, so I can see why she's being silent. She gives a small sigh.
Shiro, しつこいです。その話はもうやめてほしい。
That's the polite way to say it, I guess. You are obstinate, by which I mean go fuck yourself. Shiro, I want you to stop bringing this up. Yes, go fuck yourself because you won't be able to fuck me because I have to go back and change the timeline. She firmly rejects my opinion. I would too. Like, I think she's in the wrong, but what you're saying is no better than Gilgamesh in my opinion. Or at least your motives behind why you're saying it. It's not as if one can stay if one obtains the Holy Grail. I mean, they can if they make that their wish. It seems like that's what Gilly did.
アーチャー、あのサーバントは聖杯を手に入れたから残っているわけではない。なぜなら前回の戦いで聖杯を得られるはずがないのですから。
Okay, you're contradicting my understanding of everything. I thought the whole point of the servant is that they want to get, things by getting the Grail. Now you're saying that's not true? It's not as if one can stay if one obtains the Holy Grail. That's what everyone seems to think. Archer, that servant does not remain in this time because of the Holy Grail. It was impossible for anyone to obtain the Holy Grail in the last war. Okay, but it still went away, and yet he remained. Is it just because of his fucking... That sounds so dumb to me. Because I know he's got a freaking... Oh, look at this. Independent action. A+, connect with the master. Maybe she's saying that no one actually won the last war. Semantics. He still got to stay. So, I don't know. Is what she's saying that the last war got interrupted and never fully finished, and that's why he never disappeared, because the last war is still ongoing? But even still, if this is meant to be a redo of the last war, they shouldn't have summoned 7 new servants. Now, if my theory is right and Castor's actually Ryder, maybe they didn't summon 7 new servants. Maybe this Archer is actually Castor and just thought he was Archer, and this Castor is actually Ryder and isn't actually Castor, and then this Archer was the Archer all along. But it just doesn't make sense if this is redoing the last war. If the last war never properly finished, then why summon 7 new servants when you already have one who's still vying for it? That feels like you're changing the balance. I don't know. The Grail can do what it wants, I guess, but I guess if it has its own will. But maybe the reason why this war was so soon is because the end of the last war was interrupted. I guess, but I don't know. Like, what does it matter if there's never been a winner, right? Like, apparently, like, or there's been winners, but the Grail's like, they're all shit. What if the Grail, like, if the Grail wants someone, a worthy winner, and they wait like 30 years after one ends with no worthy winner, why suddenly decide, oh, this one's interrupted, I'll wait just 10 years? I don't get it. It just seems like if either way it wants a worthy successor, why does it matter if it was interrupted or if it succeeded? If it succeeded, but it was like a little pussy that the Grail didn't like and so didn't give itself to him, like why suddenly now wait less, even if it was interrupted? I don't know. Like, the Grail can do what it wants, I guess. The Grail seems to be its own personality to an extent, but I don't know. It just seems like if Archer is supposed to be back from the old war and the war never stopped and this is resuming the war, why are there 7 new servants? And, you know, if the explanation is just, fuck it, the Grail can do what it wants, I feel like that spits in the face of setting up the idea of there being 7 in the first place, but, It was impossible for anyone to obtain the Holy Grail in the last war.
Saber, それはどういう
Saber, what is that?
ないものは手に入れようがないでしょう。あの日、町が炎に包まれた時、聖杯は破壊されたのです。
It is impossible to obtain what does not exist. On the day when the town was in flames, the Holy Grail was destroyed. Right, because I think she more or less destroyed it, and that caused the fire. But I don't know. My takeaway, I don't know. Maybe I'm remembering wrong. I probably am. My takeaway from that, at least based on my memory, was that she tried to destroy it, and that caused the big fire, but the Grail's super strong, so it wasn't actually destroyed. And then Archer just won, and Saber was killed by it imploding. I don't know if that's true, but that was my takeaway. And maybe that's just what Saber thinks happened, and she's wrong, because she was killed by the blast or whatever, but unless something else besides the Grail gave him form somehow at the end of the last war. Yeah, like, that's a far reach. What? What would be strong enough, other than the Grail, to give him form? It says he has a skill to just maintain his existence, but I assume that skill was granted to him by the Grail for winning. Now, of course, this could just be Saber saying this, and she could just be wrong. But, like, man, this game has done such a poor job, I think, of... And maybe that's the point, but it makes, for me, theorizing hard. It's done such a poor job of establishing what the rules are that knowing when a rule is broken, if I'm supposed to take that as a broken rule, or a character just thinking the rule is broken, or if I'm supposed to suspect that, like, it just makes it hard to do that. And as a theorizer, that peeves me a little bit. But
私を裏切ったマスター、エミやキリツグによって。
oh, okay, that's a lore drop. On that day, when the town was in flames, the Holy Grail was destroyed by the master who betrayed me, Emiya KIRITSUGU. Okay, you've just revealed some information, kind of casually. Okay, well, I guess to be fair, you've been talking about Zero stuff. Okay. How is Shiro gonna react to this? What is Saber's... Is Saber have a really shitty opinion of KIRITSUGU? I guess she would. Maybe, I don't know, like, has interacting with Shiro at all and him talking up his father changed her opinion at all? I mean, I understand why Saber would hate KIRITSUGU, but, like, you say KIRITSUGU destroyed the Grail, but she might just think that, because she might have been taken out by the blast. It's possible the Grail survived, even if she thought it was destroyed. I don't know. I do remember KIRITSUGU has some kind of good reasons for why he took those actions, but Saber never learned those, so I can definitely understand why she's so petty, but... Dash. This feels like an interesting... I mean, it's not like it's a weird time for the reveal. It feels like a weird time for the reveal. I don't know, maybe just because I knew it from the start, and I'm looking for the reveal that, like, I'm looking for the lead up to the reveal, and I saw no lead up, and I feel like it just happened, but okay. My vision closes in. How's he gonna respond? I mean, I guess this is how he's responding, but... I hold my body steady with my hands as it's about to fall. You knew he was a magus. He seemingly caused the fire now. Or, well, actually, technically, she hasn't said that. She said that on the day when the town was in flames, the Holy Grail was destroyed by my master who betrayed me. All she said is that Kiritsugu betrayed her. She hasn't technically said that that sort of caused the fire, even though it did. Which I think that would... You'd think if he was a normal person, that would trigger him more. The fact that Kiritsugu caused the fire, because he saved him from the fire, so that would make him question everything he thought he believed. However, I think this might actually affect him more because he's kind of a fucked up individual, and the idea that Kiritsugu betrayed Saber when Saber is his everything might fuck with him more. I hold my body steady with my hands as it's about to fall. Out of all the masters of the war, I would assume Kiritsugu would be the person who managed to actually destroy the Grail back then. Was it destroyed though? I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, it just seems like... So what? It had to be recreated then? The Grail was never properly handed out, and it had to be recreated, and it took 10 years, and so that's why Archer stayed around? That just feels backwards, though. Then why do we have two Archers? Unless the idea is that this Archer was never supposed to exist. Maybe Ren was supposed to get that Archer, the Archer her daddy got, but instead, because of a fuck-up of time or something, she got one from a different timeline. I don't know, maybe. I hold my body steady with my hands as it's about to fall. If the Grail is destroyed, then what is this war? I assume it's just the Grail got rebuilt, because it seems like a super all-powerful MacGuffin of ultimate destiny, but...
Emiya Kiritsugu だって。
Emiya Kiritsugu? Kiritsugu Emiya? That's my name! But that's also Kiritsugu! That's my dad! Interesting. I kind of expected to get the, Ilya reveal first, if I'm being honest. To me, this feels like a bigger reveal. I expected the Ilya one to come first, as in that Ilya's father is also my father, but I guess they're gonna hold on to that one for another pathway.
はい。10年前、前回の聖杯戦争における私のマスターは彼でした。
You didn't really win, though.
私
Archer
と
was
キリ
still
ツグは
around.
最後まで勝ち残り、聖杯はキリツグの手に渡った。
Yes, he was my master 10 years ago in the previous Holy Grail War. I won to the end, he made it to the final two, and the Holy Grail came into Kiritsugu's hands. You're not wrong, but he kind of cheated, right? Wasn't that sort of the point? I don't remember exactly how this went down, but he was supposed to beat the other guy first, but then he tried to claim it in advance, so the Grail didn't like him. That's what Kira even said, I think, at the beginning of the game, an unworthy master tried to hold it or something. So, something like that. Seems the Grail was impressed enough to give himself to Kiritsugu if he was cheating. Well, it seems like the Grail is frickin', the Grail is a very fickle thing. It does what it wants, clearly. So, maybe it, enjoyed Kiritsugu enough to give him a chance. But, Archer and
そのマスターはまだ残っていましたから、あとは彼らを倒すだけで聖杯戦争は終了するはずだった。
Archer and his master still remain, so the Holy Grail War should have been ended by their defeat. But?
ですが、キリツグは聖杯を捨てたのです。
But Kiritsugu threw the Holy Grail away. Yeah, because the Holy Grail's kind of a dick.
その結果、町は火に包まれました。
As a result, the town went into flames. That's not the entire story, but sure, good enough. The Grail seems more like a type of djinn of the old tales in this portrayal. Don't know if I understand what you mean, but okay, sure.
あの男は私に命じて聖杯を破壊させた。聖杯に触れられるのはサーバントだけですから。
That feels like a contradiction, because didn't Kiritsugu kind of touch the Grail? Wasn't that the point? Isn't that when he got, all of his weird visions? I don't know. That man ordered me, maybe that has to do with the fact that Kiritsugu has servant blood in him and passed it down to... Wait, no, that wouldn't make sense. Him and Shiro aren't related by blood. Never mind. That man ordered me to destroy the Holy Grail because servants are the only ones that can touch the Holy Grail. Uh-huh. Basically a malevolent genie. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. Definitely I could see the Grail being something like that. Very powerful and just wants people to amuse it. Will it ever truly grant anyone's wish then? Or will it just continue on watching people, you know, be funny funnies?
キリツグは最後の霊樹を使って私の手で強制的に聖杯を破壊させたのです。
Kiritsugu used his last command spell to force me to destroy the Holy Grail. Uh-huh. But I think that's why the fire happened. Like, if the Grail had been just any old thing, you probably would have succeeded. But because Excalibur was powered up by his command seal, or command spell, it managed to do like a big, you know, it made a big thingamajigger. It made a big explosion. But I don't know, I guess I was never under the impression that the Grail was actually destroyed. Like, maybe, you know, it caused the reverberating effect of Excalibur being so strong and trying to attack something that's kind of like invincible, caused the explosion, and Saber was destroyed or whatever, but like Archer lived, and I sort of thought that it was Archer and Kiritsugu winning, but maybe the idea is that it was destroyed. I guess you wouldn't know if you were taken in by the explosion. You wouldn't know if it was really destroyed or not.
聖杯が失われてはサーバントはこの世にとどまれない。
Servants cannot stay in this world once the Holy Grail disappears. But Gilly stayed, so what's the deal?
キリツグも私をとどめようとは思わなかった。
Kiritsugu did not try to keep me here either. Based on the anime version of Fate Zero, you were like very much an afterthought after the fire broke out.
私の記憶はそこまでです。あのアーチャーとの決着も私を裏切ったキリツグを問いただすこともできなかった。
My memory ends there. I could not ask him about the betrayal, nor settle my match against Archer. Uh-huh. He did have his reasons for the betrayal, but, I mean, he probably didn't care to tell you. To him, you were just a tool at the time. Dash, 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 dash. He thought of Saber exactly how Saber basically wanted Shiro to think of her, more or less. It's not like I never thought about it. Never thought about what? About what your father did as a magus? Or about why the fire happened? Father was a magus. If he lived in this town in his life, he must have been involved in a Holy Grail war. I think that's a big if. Because I don't think, like, I don't know. That's certainly a theory you can have, but there's only been 4 wars. And, like, just because he was here doesn't mean he was a super powerful magus, because only 7 get in each time. I think the idea that he must have been involved is a stretch, but okay. But still.
なんでそれを言わなかったんだ、セイバ
Why didn't you tell me that my father was a master, Saber?
ー。前のマスターだったって。
Because we had to save it till later in the game for it to be a plot twist right now. No, okay, but really, why didn't you...
通常サーバントというのは以前の記憶など持ちませんし、同じ英霊がサーバントとして召喚されることもない。
Usually, a servant does not hold memories of previous summons. The same hero will not be summoned as a servant again. You contradicted yourself. A servant does not hold memories of previous summonings. The same hero will not be summoned as a servant again. That's a complete contradiction. You're saying if a servant is summoned multiple times, they will not hold memories, and then you're saying a servant will not be summoned multiple times. Which is it? Get my facts straight, damn it. I don't know what's true and what isn't. If all you do is contradict yourself.
私はサーバントとしては異例です。ですから、この件に関しては口に出すべきではないと判断したのです。
I'm an exception to this rule, so I believed I should not mention this fact to you, Shiro. And there's also the fact that, you know, he might not need to know, like, you know, your feelings of... And I like that your feelings, even though you seem to kind of hate his dad, you didn't let that affect your opinion of him very much, which I can respect, which probably comes from the fact that you hate yourself a lot, so it's hard for you to judge others, I suppose. I don't know.
それにシローには、キリツグがどんなマスターだったのかを語るのは、
And I did not wish
気
to
が
tell
進
you
まなかった。
what kind of master Kiritsugu was. He wasn't a very nice master. I mean, he had good intentions. He just, you know, went to the biggest extremes to get them. She's saying the same clone won't be summoned again. Any new clone won't hold memories. Well, if that's what she's saying, then the wording is forked up as far as I'm concerned. What she should be saying, instead of usually a servant does not hold memories of previous summonings, it should be if the same hero gets summoned again, they will not remember the previous summoning. Like, the same here will not be summoned as a servant again is just, I don't know, like, the way she's wording it, I feel like it's worded that way. If it's not intentionally trying to confuse the player, it sure as well could definitely easily do so. But anyways, I did not wish to tell you what kind of master Kiritsugu was.
気が進まなかったってどうして
Why wouldn't you want to tell me? Because he was kind of a dick.
シロ、あなたが私の過去を夢見たように、私もあなたの過去を見てしまった。
Shiro, as you have seen my past in your dreams, I also saw your past. Ah, and you saw all my happy fun times with Kiritsugu. He was a good dad, it seems. And you know, I think ultimately he was a good person. He just was willing to do everything to get world peace. And then, you know, when the Grail was like, bitch, no thanks, he was like, well, fuck you. So, basically.
あなたのことにも驚きましたが、キリツグの変わりようも私には信じられなかった。
I was surprised by your past, but I could not believe how much Kiritsugu had changed.
シロの記憶にいるエミヤ・キリツグは立派な人物です。
Emiya Kiritsugu is a great person in your
私の記
memories,
憶にある彼は
but he
そ
is
のような人物ではなかった。
not like that in my memories.
一言で言ってしまえば、彼は典型的な魔術師だった。己が目的にしか興味はなく、阻むものは何であろうと排除する。およそ人間らしい感情など、
It's especially
彼には見当
interesting
たらなかった。
because, again, to her, Fate Zero basically just happened, and then suddenly she sees Shiro's dreams, even though, like, and it's such a big jarring contradiction, you know, the time passage, even though you know it happened, it would be a very interesting feeling to know a lot of time passed, and to see that change in person, and to just accept that, you know, it happened off screen. For your life, it happened without you being there, which, and, you know, it's just interesting to think of. To state it simply, he was a typical Magus. He was only interested in his objectives, and he eliminated everything in his way. I cannot see any human emotion in him. Sure, I mean, to be fair, he thought of you more as a tool, so he didn't care to share his emotions with you. He had them, but he kept them bottled up for sure.
私が戦いを通して話しかけられたのは3度だけです。
He only spoke to me 3 times during the whole war. I don't remember Fate Zero good enough to remember that, but I do remember he didn't talk with Saber very much. He let Ilya's mom talk with her most of the time. And, you know, he had his plans and stuff, and basically beyond that, didn't bother interacting much with his tool, Saber. Pretty much.
それが何であるかは言うまでもないとは思いますが。
I do not think I need to tell you when he spoke to me. Dash. Oh, I get it. I just got that. He only spoke to me 3 times. For the command seals. I think if you want to be technical, he would have spoken to you 4 times then. Because he did, at least in the anime of Fate Zero, spoke to you once when you were first summoned, being like, what the fuck, King Arthur's a girl? What the fuck? And he was basically like, I got gypped! Because, you know, that whole sexism thing, but... Dash. I guess you could argue he wasn't really talking to her at that point, and just talking while she happened to be in the room.
残忍というわけではなかったし、殺人鬼というわけでもなかった。
He was not cruel nor a born killer.
けれど、彼には情というものが存在しなかった。
He did not have anything that you would call emotion. Well, you know, you could argue he's like you then, because you also didn't really show emotion. Shiro has gotten the emotion out of you. She arguably did show some emotion in Fate Zero, but it was different circumstances, I would argue. But you also keep, you know, Shiro has started to defrost you, but you were also just, oh, I want to undo everything. I have this one intention. Kiritsugu, at least, I think, had a way better intention than you do, Saber, but...
キリツグが私を道具として扱ったように、彼本人もまた自身を道具としてしか見ていなかった。
Just as he treated me only as a tool, he treated himself just as an object. I guess you could argue he treated himself as a tool in that sense as well. A tool, you know, a tool to save the world.
キリツグはあらゆる感情を殺し、あらゆる敵を殺した。
Kiritsugu killed every emotion and killed every enemy. Technically, he didn't kill all of them directly, but, you know, he had some ploys and plots and stuff. But he was a pretty good at being the master and all that there. He was... yeah, the feeling watching Fate Zero is very different than playing Fate Stay Night. Because it really, you know, it felt like a war where everybody was having these stratagems. And it's a very different experience playing Fate Stay Night. If I had played this first, I probably would have abandoned it early on. Because I like it. It's just, you know... I like it because I've grown to like it, but it's like, you know, early on... No, okay, to be fair, early on I think it did start with a bang. But, like, there's certainly been parts where I've been like, you know, if I didn't have the hook of Fate Zero, I probably would have given up at Fate Stay Night at some point because of how fucking long this is, but... But anyways, Kiritsugu killed every enemy and killed every emotion. But yeah, that's like Saber, because she also became a battle king during her time, where she shut off her emotions to do the best for her people. The difference is, though, that, you know, now she's trying to undo everything. Kiritsugu, I don't think, ever wanted to undo everything. Like, when everything went to shit, he didn't just give up on life. He saved Shiro and decided, well, that's what you gotta do. I think, you know, he went down that route. He had a better ending to his story than, in my opinion, that Saber did. I guess you could argue that's because Saber hasn't had a chance to see that her dream is stupid, but it's different. Because Kiritsugu's dream was world peace, which was sort of similar to Saber's, but, like, she did it over the course of time, whereas Kiritsugu just wanted to flip a switch and for it to happen. And now Saber wants to go back and undo it. You could argue she still wants the same thing, but wants it to be better, but the way she's going about it, I think, is stupid. Because what she wants is for a different king to be picked for her country to live better, whereas Kiritsugu just wanted general world peace. Where a general world peace is very cut and dry. That will be better, theoretically. Whereas, go back and change things so I have a different king could easily be so much worse. So I think it's different, and... I mean, there's similarities for sure, but... At least Saber, even if she hated him, is not saying he was a 100% horrible person. He was at least willing to respect Shiro enough to give him the time of day, even knowing he was related to Kiritsugu. And then seeing the dreams, was able to accept, okay, I guess he changed. But also, again, anyone who hates themselves a lot, they're going to find it hard to hate other people, because they're like, well, who am I to judge them if I think I am such a shitty person? There's that mentality. Kiritsugu killed every emotion and killed every enemy.
そこまでして信じたものが何であったのかは私にはわからない。ただ、その目的であった聖杯を前にして、彼は私に破壊を命じた。
I do not know what he believed in to make him do so, but he ordered me to destroy the Holy Grail when it was in front of him. This might be a really late game plot twist, the idea that the Grail's kind of a dick, I don't know. But yeah, like, I remember roughly, the idea was that Kiritsugu got the Grail, or saw into it or something, and he's like, I want world peace. And then the Grail was all like, okay, so world peace for you is like, what, killing half the planet or something when something goes awry? Because that was always Kiritsugu's solution. He always did the practical thing. What's the practical thing? If there's 2 boats, there's 10 people on one boat, 9 people on another boat, and like one of them has to die, what's the world peace solution? In Kiritsugu's head, the world peace solution is save 10 people. So the Grail saw that, and his wish, if your wish is world peace, and that's how you would go about it, and that's what will happen. Anytime there's a situation like that, everyone in the minority will just die, because that's how Kiritsugu does things. Even though that's not what and Kiritsugu did things like that because he wanted the end goal of world peace. But I think it was like, the Grail was like, well, okay, so that's your version of world peace then. And he's like, no, I want world peace, not your shitty version, not my shitty version. But then the Grail was like, well, then tell me how to do it. And Kiritsugu, I guess, wasn't able to, because that's what he thought the Grail's wish was for. Something like that. Kiritsugu's flaw at the end of the day, so even he wished for world peace, he didn't have a good solution to do so for it. Yeah, he just assumed the Grail would solve everything. Which I think is a fair assumption, if I'm being honest. Like, if you're that jaded, if you're as jaded as Kiritsugu is, you're just like, I will do everything in my power to get to the point where I can make the world peace wish. But I don't really know how it would happen. If I did, I would just go about it. And that's a very fair point to make, too. You know, I guess you could argue that if he had an idea for how to do it, but he needed some kind of wish to make it happen, that could have worked, too. But he didn't have any idea of how to do it. He just wanted to get the Grail, and then just have the Grail do it. That was his end goal. And then when he got the Grail's like, well, bitch, tell me what I'm supposed to do. Because all I know is your version of world peace, which is fucked up. Which, in itself, doesn't necessarily make the Grail a bad person. It just makes him, you know, if the Grail is a person, then the Grail isn't one that comes up with their own ideas. Or at least if they do, then the Grail's a dick. But if the Grail arguably doesn't come up with its own ideas and only is an expression of yourself, then Kiritsugu's self was not able to come up with a good idea of world peace. But in his defense, you can't be expected to know that the Grail is going to be picky in that sense. And it's not like no one ever told him that, yes, the Grail is going to need you to give explicit instructions. And so obviously that triggered the Kiritsugu, because he did all of this shit for world peace, not knowing how to achieve it, just wanting it. And then he gets there, and the Grail's like, I don't fucking know, you tell me. And so, obviously that pissed him off. But, like father, like son, they're both aimless in their goals. Yeah, I guess. Kiritsugu's goal wasn't really aimless, though. He had a clear goal. He just thought the Grail would solve everything. Shiro, on the other hand, doesn't have a fucking goal at all. Like, even though he has a goal, he wants Saber to stay with him, but he doesn't like himself enough to know that he can wish for that. He can make his own wish, a version of Saber staying here, but doesn't even consider that. He's just like, no, Saber should wish for that herself. Which, you know, way back in the day, before, you know, back when he was first told about the Grail, he didn't have any kind of wish, despite the fact he wants to be a superhero. But of course, we've been over how he clearly doesn't really want to be a superhero. He wants that feeling of satisfaction that Kiritsugu got when he saved Shiro, because he has no joy in his life, no real joy, and he hopes that saving someone will give him that real joy, and he's afraid that just wishing for it will skip the satisfaction. It won't give him the satisfaction. He doesn't know how to get the satisfaction, so making a wish wouldn't give him anything anyways. They both don't know how to achieve it. Yeah, Shiro's goal is for happiness. I guess you could argue Kiritsugu's goal is also a kind of happiness, but he wants everyone to be happy, whereas Shiro just wants himself to be happy. He comes off as a selfless person, but deep down he's clearly super selfish. He just doesn't realize he's selfish. I mean, he does good things because he thinks he's selfless, even though he has the inner goal of selfishness. And I feel like his inner selfishness sort of comes out, like with what he was just saying to Saber. How, no, fuck all of your people. I want to bang you, so you have to use the Grail to wish for yourself to stay here. But, yeah. And his whole death wish thing, you know, stemmed from the fact he doesn't think he deserved to be the one saved by Kiritsugu. Also, you know, the idea that anyone else would have been better, or he should have helped more and saved other people there. Something. And he's willing to put himself in harm's way to save people because he feels like his life is on borrowed time. And that, you know, he should do his best to use this life that Kiritsugu saved, because his life is shit anyways. He has no joy, so he might as well put himself in harm's way to save someone to hope to get that joy. And he thinks the best way to get that joy is to put himself in harm's way. That's the most likely chance of doing a miraculous save, is putting himself in terrible peril. But it never gives him any kind of kick, ever. He saved the school, basically. He stopped Shinji. He put himself in crazy harm's way, again. He stopped Shinji from basically killing the entire school. And there was no feeling of satisfaction at all. It didn't even click with him in any way, shape, or form. Probably because he needs a face. He needs to see the face of the person he's saving, or at least he hopes he does. He doesn't even consider all the faceless people. Even Taiga, you could argue he saved Taiga, doesn't even consider it. Because he's not thinking about that. He just wants the satisfaction. He doesn't know how to get it. He doesn't stop and think, oh, I saved a lot of people, I should feel good. It doesn't even cross his mind. As we talked before, Shiro is like Kirei. Yeah, Shiro, I'd say, is very much the Kirei. But instead of a Gilgamesh, it was Kiritsugu who came to influence him. Yeah, I suppose Gilgamesh influenced Kirei instead of Kiritsugu influencing Shiro. I would argue Shiro could still go down the Kirei route, though, because Kirei took a while to find himself. I'd argue this could be Shiro before fully realizing, which, he's a Death Seeker, which might be different than Kirei, I'm not sure in that sense. But the Death Seeking will never come true as long as he has his Wolverine power. And if he lives long enough to realize that nothing will ever satisfy him, he may go down, theoretically, a very dark road to be like, what the fuck do I even want? I have this Wolverine power, so I can't die. But clearly nothing satisfies me, so what do I want? And maybe what he really wants is to be a supervillain, which is ultimately what Kirei wanted, I guess, more or less. And so that might be the ultimate goal Shiro's going towards, because maybe there's like an evil servant inside of him, or he was always an evil servant, but his perspective was skewed because Kiritsugu saved him, so he had to look up to him, even though he was secretly an evil servant, spat out by the Grail, fucking up or something, but he didn't know he was because of his amnesia. And then Kiritsugu colored his perspective and be like, yeah, that's what I want, not realizing that he's actually like an evil supervillain inside, and now that's slowly coming to the forefront or something, and he's ultimately going to have to fight himself. The good version of him is going to have to fight the evil version. Evil Smart Shiro would be a pretty bad time, especially if he masters Sword Birth. Yeah. I would argue that's the route this is going towards. I think because I doubt this has a really bad ending. Maybe some pathways do, but I'm guessing that's the route this is going towards, but then also there's a subversion where there's, no, I am a good Shiro, and the good Shiro has to fight his evil inner demon self or something. And good Shiro has to fight evil Smart Shiro, but good Shiro wins because my penis is powerful, and he uses all of the things his friends have taught him, and shows that his emotions aren't the stupid, and he can use his emotions for good, whereas evil Smart Shiro is like, what? What are emotions? Something like that. Anyways, he ordered me to destroy the Holy Grail War when it's in front of him. To be honest,
あの時ほどレイジの存在を呪ったことも、私を裏切った相手を呪ったこともありません。
without his heroics and his death-seeking tendencies clouding his vision, I would assume his intelligence would skyrocket. Yeah. Assuming he is an evil servant secretly, then that definitely, yeah. If you got those out of the way. Ugh. I've never cursed the command spell or a master who had betrayed me more than I did at that time. Or a master that had betrayed you, as if you've had multiple masters? I thought you were just summoned the one time. Or have you been summoned for other things other than the wars? Because I don't think... The implication so far has not been that you were summoned for other wars. Or do you mean you had a master before you became king, you had master? What do you mean? The implication is you've had multiple masters, but we've not been given anything to lead to believe that you would have had multiple masters. Until this line just now. There's some truth in Saber's words. Which ones? No, they must all be true. Because she's Saber, and you want her penis. I mean, you want her Excalibur going in your penis. You already rode her dragon once. Come to think of it, I don't know what Kiritsugu was like before that time 10 years ago. Oh gosh. And you looked up to Kiritsugu as an idol. If she shatters your idea of the good Kiritsugu, that might shatter your idea of what it means to be a hero, which could start sending you down the dark Kirei pathway. I couldn't guess anything about him before that time, and I saw no need to learn about such things. I mean, why would you? It doesn't change a thing even if Kiritsugu was cold-hearted. It still means he was good to you. If anything, that explains his whole mantra of saving someone means sacrificing someone else. Hell, that was his that was the whole thing. The Grail was like, well, that's how you operate. And it kind of is, but Kiritsugu was nicer about it when he talked with Shiro. Hey, maybe being like Kiritsugu means I have to kill people to save people. Maybe that's why he got the satisfaction. I have to start killing more people. Oh gosh. Doesn't change a thing even if Kiritsugu was cold-hearted. The man that adopted me was really childlike. Sure. So my memory is my only truth. Sure. What hurts my heart is that he caused the fire, or that he betrayed Saber. A normal person, I think it would be the fire, but because you're a Saber-sexual, I think it's because of Saber. If Kiritsugu was really a cold person, his last moments were just too empty. Were they? Maybe because he's secretly still alive. Didn't I have a crack theory like that at some point? That's right, because it's like 10 years. Or no, he lived X amount of years, but then the game says 2 numbers, and I said the later number, and I was like, he secretly lives those extra few years somehow. Anyways.
そうか。じゃあ、俺がセイバーを呼び出せたのも、キリツグの息子だったからなのか。
Maybe I was able to summon you because I'm his son. How did you summon her in the first place? We never freaking went over that. You didn't make any kind of summoning circle. I assumed you accidentally used one, but maybe you didn't. Maybe there was no circle. Maybe he didn't need a circle because he's so inherently fucking strong. Because he's an evil inner demon being gave him the power to summon without a circle. You are the Full Metal Alchemist. You see the truth. You don't need a circle. Out of everything bullshit that's happened in this game, having Kiritsugu still be alive would make me the most annoyed. Yeah, it would hurt some of Shiro's character arc for sure. I'm not saying he needs to still be alive now. I'm just saying he had to secretly be alive for a couple extra years, because it makes me feel better, because I like Kiritsugu. Maybe he was able to summon you because I'm his son.
わかりません。キリツグは正規の手順で私を呼び寄せました。マスターとしての適性が高かったキリツグは、
Okay.
歴史のある魔術師の家系に雇われ、
Are you gonna
聖
stay
杯戦
vague?
争に参加した。
Are you gonna stay vague about the whole Einsberg thing? Are you gonna stay vague and leave that as a reveal for another time? I do not know. Kiritsugu summoned me in a legitimate way. As Kiritsugu's aptitude as a master was high, he was hired by a Magus family with a long history and entered the Holy Grail War. I remember that. But, so, like, are you saying that Shiro summoned you in an illegitimate way? Are we going to acknowledge that he didn't have a circle? Or if he did, Shiro definitely did not set up that circle?
マスターとしての準備は、その家系が全て揃えたと言います。
I heard that everything you need to become a master is provided by that family. Sure. They gave him the what was it? The Excalibur sheath. No, fuck, wait, they gave him the sheath, right? Wasn't that what they used to summon? Hold on. Didn't they use the no, wait, it's the Caliburn sheath that was lost. Hold on. Yeah. But I think they gave him the Excalibur sheath to summon Saber, right? Which is different than the Caliburn sheath, which is the one that's lost. Okay, I feel like I almost had a minor freak out, but I don't think I had any. Okay, I think that's separate. Whereas Shiro seemingly didn't need any kind of catalyst and yet summoned her anyways.
彼らは私の遺品をコーンウォールから発掘し、キリツグに委ねて聖杯戦争に臨ませた。
Well, there you go.
キリツグはそれを触媒にして私を召喚したのです。
They had excavated King Arthur's artifact from Cornwall and gave it to Kiritsugu to use in the Holy Grail War. Kiritsugu used it as a catalyst to summon me. Wasn't the Excalibur sheath that was lost? Was it? I don't fucking know. Maybe it was the Excalibur sheath that was lost. I'm not sure. It's been so long, there's been so many facts. I remember him using a sheath. At least that's what the anime depicted, was that he used a sheath. And I was like, wait, she lost a sheath. Is that the sheath? But I don't think so. Or maybe it is. Excalibur's sheath was never lost. It was the Caliburn sheath? I thought it was the Caliburn sheath. Or, yeah, because the Caliburn sword was lost, and no. Something like that. One of the sheaths is lost. Whatever.
ですから、キリツグ本人には私を呼び寄せる因子もなければ、属性が近いというわけでもありません。シローが私を引き寄せたのは、何か別の力が働いたからでしょう。
I feel like different swords would have different sheaths. I'm pretty sure they have different lengths. I think Excalibur is a lot longer. Kiritsugu himself does not have any factor to summon me, nor is his attribute close to mine. You probably summoned me because of some other factor. Because you're secretly an evil genie! Because you have super force powers! You have a high metachlorian count because there's an evil genie locked inside you! You've got the nine-tailed fox! You are Uzumaki Naruto! You've got the Jinjariki! No, you are the Jinjariki! You're the ninja pirate king who's gonna be king of the Soul Reapers! I get it. You're also secretly an alien! Because you've got a tail, and that means you're secretly all of the tropes. It's not too surprising that father used to be a master. What's surprising is that his servant was King Arthur, the one standing in front of me right now. What's surprising is that you got the save servant without any kind of fucking catalyst. I assumed Ilya was the one who set you up to do that at first, but something somewhere convinced me that wasn't the case. And so now I'm thinking some time travel ploy where you set yourself up to be your own summoner, like you went to the past and drew this. Because that's right. No, there was one. That it's not that he used nothing. He did use something. You've inherited the will of Pirate King. You are Shiro D. Emiya. No. That's right. There was something. It's been so long, I tend to forget things. But no, I distinctly remember there were markings in the garage that never were really talked about, but there were markings there. That's the circle, right? That's the circle he ended up using that's my assumptions. That's the circle. Because it's been so long, I'm starting to come to the impression he didn't use a circle, like he's just so naturally gifted because of his inner evil demon side. But I think there was a circle, because they briefly talked about in the shed how there were markings in there. And I think that's what he used to summon her. I think. We've never gone back to that. But they talked about those markings briefly and have not gone back to that. So it makes me think that that's the circle. And that's going to be some plot twist later on. That he's going to go back in time and be his own father. I mean, not really. But, you know. I mean, maybe. We've never seen his biological father. But no, go back and make the circle so that he can join the war. That's my current ongoing theory. Yes, indeed, Rick Owens was her. One more thing. Oh, just one more thing. Saber said the Holy Grail was destroyed. Isn't this war completely meaningless? I mean, no. These 7 servants, where do you think they come from? The Grail summoned them. If it's not the Grail, then something Grail level. Like even Kirei said that even if it's not actually the Holy Grail, it's similar to the Holy Grail enough. So whatever's summoning them must have the power of the Holy Grail anyways.
わからないな。聖杯がもうないって、セイバーは初めから知っていたんだろう。なら、どうしてこんな馬鹿げた戦いをする気になったんだよ。
I don't get it. You already knew there's no Holy Grail anymore, right? So why did you decide to take part in this ridiculous battle? Because clearly something summoned them. Otherwise, why are they here? What the fuck summoned them if not the Grail? So, as far as I'm concerned, the Grail could have easily rebuilt itself, or it's just a new Grail, because Kirei said they found multiple Grails or whatever, or multiple things that seem like they could be the Grail. Also, she's destined to claim the Grail, right? Because of how prophecies or whatever work, how she made a contract with the world to become a servant, but in exchange she had to take the Grail to become the servant. So she's destined to get the Grail, so therefore the Grail can't truly be destroyed, right?
確かに聖杯の有無は私には分かりませんけれど私が呼ばれた以上聖杯はなければおかしい
I certainly do not know if the Holy Grail actually exists, but it would be strange for there to be no Holy Grail if I am summoned. Exactly.
忘れたのですかシロ私は聖杯を手に入れるためにサーバントになった
Have you forgotten,
逆
Shiro?
に言えば聖杯がない場所に
I became a
私は
servant
呼ばれないのです
to obtain the Holy Grail. To put it another way, I will not be summoned unless the Holy Grail is present. To put it another way, you inevitably have to get the Holy Grail, because otherwise you wouldn't be a servant because of your silly contract. Therefore, it can't be destroyed, because if it was, you could never obtain it, and the timeline would be fractured into infinity and beyond. Unless we're working on multiple universe theory, where she gets it in another universe and it is destroyed, but in the other universe she already got it in Fate Zero, so even though she got it in one universe, that makes her a servant in all universes? I guess that's possible, but then how are they summoned now? Are they summoned by an alternate timeline, Grail? Something, magic.
いや、でも。
Well then...
じゃあ、聖杯ってのは壊れても治ってるものなのか?
The Holy Grail can restore itself even if it's destroyed? I would assume so! If it's powerful enough to summon all the servants and grant wishes, I think restoring itself isn't that far-fetched. After all, you can restore yourself! You have fucking Wolverine powers out of nowhere. Now she just repeats the same Grail war if it was actually destroyed. What if Shiro is the Grail? Because, like, we've talked about how the Grail possibly has a personality and might be like a dick, right? Well, if the Grail was destroyed, maybe it fractured and went into Shiro. And I talked about how Shiro might be like an evil servant secretly. But maybe he's not just any servant, he is the Grail's personality. Because the Grail we think is kind of a dick. So maybe the secret evil side inside him is the Grail. And so a fractured part of it went into him, so he's like partially Grail. So there's an evil sealed inside him, and the evil is the Grail, because the Grail isn't just a dick. And that gives him the regenerative powers, because the Grail itself can restore itself. And so Sword Birth is caused because he is the Grail and is able to make things. And making things is easier for him, because the Grail is able to make things. The whole I don't recognize Chinese weapons puts a strike against the Grail theory. Being the Grail, it should know every hero's weapon. I guess, but he might still be just starting to regain his memories or whatever, or regain his Grail personality or whatever the fuck. If he's somehow secretly, like, he's clearly somehow all-powerful. The Grail theory is just one option. And the fact that he recognized some of them but not all of them, maybe it's just because he's slowly bits and pieces getting parts of his memory back. It could be that he just genuinely doesn't know them, which could put a hole in the Grail theory. But it could just be that he's... I don't know. It could be that he's not quite gotten all of his Grail memories back, or that he doesn't have all of them. Maybe he's only part of the Grail. Maybe the Grail was scattered into a bunch of pieces that have to combine together. Shiro has to combine with a bunch of other ladies and make the ultimate orgy for the Grail to be reformed again. But, like, really, maybe only part of the Grail went in him, so he only knows some of the weapons, but not all of them, and other parts of the Grail, like maybe it's shattered. And slowly, as the kid has been aging, or maybe other kids too, or something have been aging, the Grail's been, like, restoring itself within them, and then eventually they're going to have an ultimate sex orgy, and the Grail's going to be summoned through all of them. Maybe. That's a theory, I guess. If that's true, though, then the Grail would have to be inside other people as well, and I don't know if we've seen any other people that have been showing similar symptoms that we know of. Maybe Kirei also got part of the Grail inside of him, because I thought that he might secretly be the ultimate villain. The ultimate villain could also just be the Grail itself. But if there's a part of it inside Kirei, he might be able to enact some evil plans with his own powers, maybe. Something like that. I suppose that a piece of the Grail could have also, like, if just throwing that out there, could go in, like, Sakura, for example. I talked in the past about how if Sakura's evil at this point, she's got to be, like, I don't know. She's got to be, like, super secretly evil. I guess she could be tragically evil, but, I feel like if she was tragically evil, that would have been revealed by now. So I feel like if she's evil, she's super secretly evil. And so maybe there's, like, an evil thing inside. Maybe it's combining two birds with one. Maybe that's why Gilgamesh was interested in her, because she's got part of the Grail inside of her. Maybe there's also part of it inside of her, and so she's also going to be a super evil overlord that's I don't know. And so Shiro and Sakura and maybe some other third character like Kirei are all going to have a sex orgy, and the Grail's going to be summoned with all of them together. But because if that is true, and there's a secret evil side inside them, then maybe Sakura is also going to become a twist villain because there's a secret evil Grail inside of her. But she'll be savable because it's the Grail that's fucking her up, just like how the Grail's fucking up Shiro, and so there'll be a big fancy sex orgy. I don't know. I'm a horn dog. If Kirei gets involved, that's kind of squick, but you know. Who else could have a piece of the Grail inside of them? Hold on. Who else could have a piece of the Grail? I don't think it, like, Rin, I don't think is good enough. We haven't seen enough Ayako, so maybe secretly she could have some Grail inside of her. Taiga, I don't know. I don't think she's going to be too involved in the plot. I think she's just comic relief. Issei could have some okay, Kuzuki, fucking where the fuck are you, man? Are you Lancer's Master? Are you dead? Are you alive? Maybe he's got some Grail inside of him. Maybe he's going to be part of the sex orgy. I don't know. That's a current theory I have now, is that the Grail was shattered and reformed itself inside different people over the years, and that's why it's only 10 years, because after 10 years the Grail was strong enough, and it needed to make this war happen to gather all of the pieces of the Grail of itself together, and then, like, frickin' mesh them together, or whatever. Theories of servants being future selves of present characters seem so simple. Honestly, I think that's a little more crack than this theory. But, you know, like, the levels of crack, I think, depends on who you ask. I think the idea that all of the servants are secretly future versions of all of these characters is the most crack. I don't really believe that's going to happen. Whereas I kind of sort of believe that the Grail being inside everyone might happen. But Anyways, the Holy Grail can restore itself even if it's destroyed.
いいえ、聖杯はそう簡単に替えが利くものではない。
No, the Holy Grail is not something easily replaceable. How do you know? There have been apparently a bunch of things like the Holy Grail over time, and clearly something summoning all of us, so all of you, as you just said.
一度壊れた聖杯が治ることなどないでしょう。
It would be impossible for a destroyed Holy Grail to be restored. How do you know that? How do you know this much about the Grail?
なら
Then, what makes you think that you know this much? Like, she's just saying these things without any proof to back up, like, why? Where do you get that knowledge?
ですがあるはずです。サーバントは聖杯の磁力に惹かれて現れる。聖杯がなければ、サーバントは現れない。
But it should exist. Servants are summoned since they are drawn to the Holy Grail. Servants would not exist if there is no Holy Grail.
それは、あの神父も語っていたのではありませんか。
That priest said so as well. That priest. Oh yes, Kirei. My theory, if Saber words are true, is that while the ritual is the same, the power source is different in this war. I don't know. I think the Grail would still be around. I think it would, like, especially because of Fate Zero, it seemed like the end to be like, oh look, the Grail just it's a dick. It's petty. It comes up with its own rules or whatever, and yet we've gotten no clear indication of that. Well, I guess you could argue Kirei said that, oh well, the Grail chooses its master, whatever. But Saber doesn't seem to know why Kiritsugu destroyed the Grail, which makes me think that's going to be its own revelation, which makes me think that the Grail still being around and being some kind of entity they have to do dealings with is probably going to happen. So the idea that it's just some different power source, if it is, it's being fueled, I'm assuming, by the Grail in some sense. And if that is true, then maybe Kirei is trying to restore the Grail. Maybe that's Kirei's ultimate goal. I don't know. But I feel like the Grail would have to come into play somehow at some point. Anyways, the priest said so as well. I know that it's not the Holy Grail. Even if it's a different version, it's still a Grail. You're more inclined to the theory the Grail just fucked off? I don't think so. I feel like the Grail just fucking off... Because, again, this is me thinking from the perspective of Fate Stay Night came first, Fate Zero came second. I might think that if I thought Fate Zero came first, maybe the Grail just fucked off. But because Fate Stay Night came first, and they went out of their way to characterize the Grail in Fate Zero like that, and they have not revealed that yet in Fate Stay Night, makes me think that that is going to become relevant, and that won't matter if the Grail as a character just doesn't exist in Fate Stay Night. So I don't think that's true. This isn't the Holy Grail. Yeah, I know.
神父そうかあいつ
Priest. Oh, him. You mean the Grail fucked off from the Excalibur and survived the blast? Well, sure, I assumed all along that the Grail survived somehow. Your theory is the real Holy Grail was inside you all along. Well, yeah, in part. I think part of the Grail could be inside him. There's something giving him this super evil, dark, powerful side. There's got to be something. The question is what? It could be part of the Grail's inside of him. I don't think that's that far-fetched. Not at this point. Priest. Oh, him. And I mean, so what if the real Holy Grail was inside you all along? Like, is that a silly trope? I don't know. Seems fine to me. As long as they seed it properly. The supervisor of the Holy Grail living at the church. Oh, are we gonna see him again? It's been a while. The man that manages the Holy Grail must be able to answer all my questions. Oh, this is the perfect time to talk to him again, just after we met his servant of old. The end of the previous war. You could have just asked him about that before, but I suppose finding out that Kiritsugu is involved would trigger you to ask those questions now of all times, I suppose. What happened to the destroyed Holy Grail and to the servant Archer? Kirei may have those answers, given that, he saw, Anyways. What did Kiritsugu see at the end of the battle to make him destroy the Holy Grail? I don't think Kirei knows that. I don't think he knows what Kiritsugu saw. I wake up alone. Oh no! Okay, I think this is a good place to take a piss break. So, Kiri probs won't tell the truth if he does know, though. He'll probably be a little, he'll probably tell half truths would be my guess. That's what he did the first time, after all. The real Grail was inside the friends we made along the way. To truly get the golden true ending, we must collect the 7 Grail balls and all the masters and summon the Holy Grail for our wish. We must convince everyone to work together to use their Grail pieces to summon it. Nice. Yep. Obviously, we need to collect a grand total of 7 Grails to summon a dragon that will grant us a wish. That's what everyone's been doing it wrong. 1 Grail would never be enough. We need 7 Grails or we're never going to get our 1 wish. Which is a freaking jip. We should get at least 3 wishes with 7 Grails, but whatever. I wake up alone. Even if she has recovered, Saber still has to sleep periodically. Why? We need 7 wars. Oh, fuck. Oh, no. Oh, tits. Oh, fuck. 7 wars. It's okay. I'm sure at least 7 are happening in alternate timelines. This is the 5th one, and therefore we can't win this thing. Oh, of course. It can only happen by the 7th war. Makes sense. Every timeline's another war because the Grail is timeless, I suppose. The 4 previous one fails because we needed 7. So we need 7 at the same time or 7 over time? Do we need 7 like in different places at the same time to truly get it? Does only one person get a wish? Or if that happens, do we get a few wishes out of it? Anyways, even if she has recovered, Saber still has to sleep periodically. Saber went to bed right away after that, and I went to bed to relieve Saber. What? To relieve Saber? Like what, relieve her of her post? That was an hour ago. So we need 3 routes or 7 routes for the golden ending. Makes sense. It's past midnight. I'll be able to sneak out without Saber or Tosaka finding out now. God, sneak out for what? Where? Why? How? What are you doing, man? You're not afraid of Gilgamesh? Oh, right. You want to go speak to Kirei. You can do that, you can bring Saber or something, stay protected. I just feel like, seems like a bad move. Seems like a very bad move. If it really is going to talk to Kirei alone, seems like the baddest of moves. Oh my gosh. I go out without making a sound. At least he's got some good stealthy rolls. I thought about using the bicycle, but it would be a problem if I wake them up by doing so. At the end of the first flight, we realized this and travel back in time, somehow by not using the Grail, and do the other 6 routes. Right, we don't use the Grail because Shiro just is a genie. Like, he's clearly got evil demon powers. Maybe one of those powers is just time travel. He can just time travel. He doesn't even need the fucking Grail. Maybe. That would make him super strong. Then we get the true ending, of course, after all of his natural time travel powers. I thought about using the bicycle, but it'd be a problem if I wake them up by doing so. I guess I'll walk there. Okay. And we're walking. Mostly walking. There's no one around. Even if it's midnight, the silence is abnormal. The air is frozen and I can't sense life from any of the buildings. On the other hand, I feel a contradictory heat under the road, as if there's a whirlpool. Oh, right, I had the theory that maybe Castor was causing the cold. If that's true, then that never went anywhere in this route. And the air still seems to be frozen, so I guess it was just a symbolic thing and had nothing to do with Castor. Or it does, and it's still lingering, and we'll just not find out about it in this pathway. The air is frozen and I can't sense life from any of the buildings. I mean, you can't sense them, doesn't mean it's not there. Since when are you good at sensing life? You're good at sensing objects, and the fact that they are real noble phantasms, but not necessarily good at sensing life. Lancer's team, if Castor's words are right, are only enemies left. I mean, and Gilly, but does Gilly even count? How does this war work? It's supposed to be 7, you can't have 8? I don't know. I guess the Grail can just do what it wants, like a jerk, but... I mean, if freaking Assassin got killed off screen, I guess Lancer could just killed off screen too, and then it'll just be Gilly. I wouldn't be surprised at this point. On the other hand, I feel contradictory heat under the road as if there's a whirlpool of something black. Whirlpool of something black? Has something happened to the town in the few days I was held at Ilia's place? Maybe Gilly came and killed everyone. Or something. Something black. The Men in Black? Whirlpool. Whirlpool isn't a normal name for a drink, but, you know, maybe like a foreign member. Watching back through the Case Closed anime made me fully realize and appreciate, or rather unappreciate, the fact that, you know, he never properly learned their names. If you've seen the show, you know what I'm talking about. But, like, he just knows them all of a sudden because they changed a certain chapter in the manga early on where he was supposed to learn their names. And so he just all of a sudden knows them in the anime. Which, as I was watching it, I was thinking, that's lazy. Like, even if they... I don't necessarily think the way they changed it had to be wrong. I don't think the changes have to be wrong. But once you realize that you changed something and fucked something up, like, make a new original episode and have him learn the names there, instead of suddenly him just knowing them. It's not something I ever realized on my first watch through, because I was taking it at a slow pace. But watching it back through again and knowing that, it's just interesting that in Case Closed, he just suddenly knows in the anime version. He never actually learns them, he just knows, which I think is a problem. It's one of my few real problems with the Case Closed anime. I don't mind a lot of the changes they make from the manga. I think the anime is pretty good about some of its changes. It's just, if you clearly change something that you shouldn't have changed, then do something new to at least make it not bullshit. Anyways, maybe Ryder's still alive. Of course, Ryder, obviously. Maybe this is the remnants of whatever magic plan Castor had. Could be. And also maybe Ryder is Castor, obviously. Anyways, has something happened to the town in the few days I was held at Ilia's place? Feels like all omens are everywhere. Maybe Shiro was drunk and is feeling the black whirlpool because it's nighttime. Has Shiro ever drunk alcohol? Does he drink? I don't think he's technically legal age yet. Did Kiritsugu ever let him have a sip? No, well, not when he was alive. He would have been super young. Maybe then again, Kiritsugu, you know, I don't know if he would have been such a rapscallion to let Shiro have a drink at that young of an age. Maybe Assassin is just sneaking around and killing people off. He was just so good at sneaking that no one knew he actually lived. And he doesn't have much of a presence because he doesn't have much of a myth. He's just naturally really good. So, maybe. It's not just me. What is it then? What do you sense with your metachlorian power? I looked up the mountain in the distance. The Yuta Temple, which is far away from the city, just looks like a black lump from here. Uh-huh. That never got resolved. I assumed Castor was doing that, but never got resolved. It's just that it seems like it's throbbing along with the night wind. I crossed the dark river and walked to Shinto.
そうか。あれからもう10日経ってるのか。
Something fuckery is happening at the temples? Well, sure. Are you gonna go to the temple? I thought Shiro was going to Kirei's place. That's right, it's already been 10 days since then. 10 days since when? 10 days for you is probably like fucking 10 weeks for me, at least. So, 10 days since when? That day. That night I first met Saber and walked on this bridge with Tosaka seems like so long ago. Was that only 10 days? Hold on, this is like day 14. Hold on. Day 13th day. You met, but then you'd have to meet Saber on the 3rd day. Hold on. 11th day. 8th day. 7th day. 6th day. 4th day. 4th day. 1st day, you hadn't met her. Okay. Okay, so 3rd day is when you first met her? I guess. I thought those were like prologue days that didn't count. And right now it's 13th day. Huh. I assumed it had been like 2 weeks. It's only been 10 days. He's literally known her for 10 days. I assumed at least 2 weeks because, gosh, for me it's been months, but feels like it's been months. It's been 10 days. It's so weird. I know it's because of how I've been playing it, and I've been playing it a little slowly, but also it's just so long, but like 10 fucking days. God. First few days was just the daily life of a schoolboy, I guess. That night I first met Saber and walked on this bridge with Tosaka seems like so long ago. Yes, it very much does. It feels like months even. I wonder why. I see the church. Oh, I remember this street. This was the street along the way to the church. I've never been to the church. Even though I told Tosaka that, I do have a connection to this church. Oh, fuck, shit, balls, dicks. What is it? What's your connection to the church? Oh, gosh, dick, Dan, dudes, doodles. I was supposed to be entrusted to the church and adopted somewhere. Right, that's right. Because Kiritsugu was like, hey, live with me. But if he didn't, then he would have ended up at this church. It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny, the idea of Kirei raising him. To me, he seems the most like, if I had to pin what character he's most like, he's like an early stage of Kirei. A stage we never saw, theoretically. But that's my idea of him right now. But
エミヤの家か、あの教会か。思えばとんでもない分かれ道だったんだな。
the Emiya household or the church? Come to think of it, it was a big turning point. It would also likely mean that Shiro would have already met Kirei at an earlier time. Granted, Shiro would have met Rin at an earlier time. Did I say Shiro would have met Kirei? I mean, that's true, but Shiro would have likely met Rin at an earlier time. Granted, Rin didn't seem to like Kirei very much, but Kirei did, was technically her guardian, so Shiro and Rin likely would have already crossed paths at an earlier age, which might have actually made Rin better off, because she's been so fucked for so long, she's had no friends her age that were into magic, and she always had to hide everything. If she had met Shiro earlier, and if Shiro was already also into magic, potentially, I don't know if that should have been technically allowed, because I know Kiritsugu was sort of doing things, under the belt, but Rin having a friend might have actually made her a better person in the long run. It's interesting to think of now, but possibly it might have made her less fucked if she had gotten that chance at friendship in an earlier time. Shiro might be more fucked, or maybe not, because it seems very unhealthy that he's trying to replicate Kiritsugu. He seems like he's not very much like, it is more like Kirei. He might have been more of an evil bastard if he was raised by Kirei, but he might at least be more confident in his ideas. Evil smart Shiro could certainly be from a timeline where Kirei raised him. The Emiya household of the church. Come to think of it, it was a big turning point. 10 years ago. All the children in that hospital were orphans, and they were all temporarily entrusted to the church. Except for you! I was the only one of them adopted from the hospital. Makes you think. Kotamine Shiro. Indeed. How would Saber have felt like that, being summoned by Shiro? How would Kirei use him to get the Grail, or would he let him do his own thing? Would Shiro... It is an interesting what-if scenario, and I know some people have, toyed with the idea from what I've heard, but... by which I mean people in my chat earlier on, I remember people saying, that's a popular, fan theory, or a fanfic, or whatever. That must be why. I felt kind of guilty and unconsciously avoided the church. Because a lot of the other kids there could have potentially had a life like how you had a good life with Kiritsugu, and they probably, inevitably, if you live in a church, you're not going to have generally as great of a life as if someone gets a good household and a good family. You did have that. And so, not only do you feel guilty about living through the fire, you feel guilty that you got to be with Kiritsugu and nobody else. Whereas they, you hate yourself, so you think they should all have been there instead, something. That's why I told Tosaka it was my first time visiting the church on the night 11 days ago. The lights in the church are still on. God, you fucking go in here without Saber? You're so stupid. You're so stupid. He does so many stupid things, and I keep thinking maybe he's gonna get smarter now. Nope. I know it's just like Lancer and maybe Gilgamesh, but if any of them sees him and kills him, I don't know if Gilly would want to kill Shiro because I think he wants a good fight with Saber. But Lancer is probably, now that it's down to so few, I think Lancer would jump at the chance. Lancer's master would jump at the chance, if he's still around, to axe Shiro and just win the war if he can win without beating Gilgamesh. I don't know the technicalities right now, but the church is the safe spot of the Grail War. Sure, if you can fucking get there, but it's a long trek to even get there. If the Lancer had ambushed him at night, he, could have easily happened. The lights in the church are still on. I said this before, but it bugs me when dumb people do dumb things and don't get punished in any way. Especially in a war situation like this. Anyways, the lights in the church are still on. I don't like that priest, but there's something I need to ask him. Well, let's go. Could have done this with Saber. Could have brought a bodyguard or two. Could have at least came with Rin or Elia or someone. Nope, let's go alone like a dingus. Take a deep breath and go through the heavy doors. Priest Kotomine, are you here? I keep on walking while I call out. Haven't seen Kirei in quite some time. Oh my gosh. What's this gonna be like? Can't sense anyone in the chapel. Are you suddenly good at sensing presences? This is a new power. All of his powers, his evil, secret, hidden powers, are manifesting. Interesting that Shiro hates Archer and Kirei, even though they are quite similar to him, but likes Saber, even though she's quite similar to him. Yeah, but he has a boner. Maybe if Archer or Kirei was female, he might like them more. Because he's sexist both in the sense that he wants to save the females, but also he wants to bone the females. Maybe that's why he wants to save them. Maybe even though he thinks he wants the satisfaction from saving someone, maybe he's alternatively, maybe I can get the satisfaction from boning someone. Preferably someone who I've saved. They're most likely to bone me if I save them, so. Rin Shiro was particularly good at sensing a while back? I don't remember that, but I'll take your word for it. I feel like that's what it comes down to, is if he knew Kiritsugu before he went all nice and stuff, he probably would have hated Kiritsugu. He probably, he hates Archer, he hates Kirei. But if they were females, and if they were hot, because I think also the physical attraction is there too. He just likes the look of Saber. But Saber is similar to him, but that's the thing. He tries to deny that. He's like, you're a girl. You can't be cold and all that stuff. She tried to be cold and distant, and Shiro was like, no, you are a female and I want to be in your pants. He's rejecting her reality, essentially. Even with her being like, I want to go back and change everything. He's like, no, you don't. You have to want to be yourself because I want you to be my fuck buddy. Therefore, you have to be like this. It's like he's not acknowledging the side of her that's like him. If he did acknowledge it, he probably wouldn't like her because he doesn't like himself. And that's why he doesn't want her to be like him, and he's trying to ignore that side because he doesn't like himself. Therefore, you can't be like me because I don't like me, and I don't want to not like you. So please be like this because I want to like you. It's probably that sense of it. You're in the Rider Arc while they were trying to find blood fort symbols, and Shiro found one just by himself. Oh, okay. Is he still a friend of Shinji? Yeah, Shinji's dead. But yeah, I think he's still considered, oh yeah, Shinji was my friend. But yeah, I think that's what it comes down to, is he would hate Saber if he thought of her as a person and not as a sexual object of his desires that he wants to be as a fuck buddy, and is rejecting anything like her that is similar to himself because he does not like himself. But because he has no fuck buddy aspirations with Archer or Kirei, he just hates them because they are like him and he doesn't like himself. I can't sense anyone in the chapel. Shinji's just a dick. He sees none of himself in him, and therefore he likes him. Oh, yeah, of course. Shinji's a great friend. I mean, sure, Shinji seems like a terrible person, but at least he's not like Shiro. Therefore, he's got to be a good person, because Shiro is the worst person. Even though the lights are on, it's so big and quiet that I feel more afraid than I would in complete darkness. I agree with that sentiment entirely. In complete darkness, I feel I can protect myself from kind of like attackers. I almost feel more safe in darkness a lot of the time. Like when the lights, and also because I sort of have developed a good sense of vision in the dark. Like I'm pretty good at finding my way around in the dark. Therefore, you know, if I feel like I'm in a scary place where I'm scared of something, I'd rather have the lights off if I'm being honest. The lights on if I'm in a place that I'm scared of. If for some reason I'm in such a predicament, I'd rather the lights be off. The lights on scares me because someone could easily see me and, I don't know, come and kill me if they wanted to. Where the lights off means they're less likely to see me, and I'm pretty good at seeing in the darkness, so I could maybe avoid them. That's my take on the whole situation of, you know. Anyways, the lights are on, it's so big and quiet that I feel more afraid than I would in complete darkness.
おい、誰かいないのか?
Is anyone here? There's no reply. I can't go in any further, so maybe I should give up and go home for tonight. What happened? I instantly turned toward the sound. Oh fuck, oh shit, oh tits.
エミヤシロウか。こんな時間に何の用だ?
It's Emiya Shiro. What are you doing here at this time? So you are here, but Shiro didn't sense you. Is that because you're not a real person but also have a part of the Grail stuck inside of you just like Shiro? I don't know. Dash, 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 dash. This sudden encounter leaves me speechless.
夜も更けた。あとは眠るだけだったのだが、その顔では懺悔の真似事でもしたかったと見えるな。
It's late.
エミヤシロウ。
I was going to sleep, but your expression suggests that you seek confession here. Emiya Shiro. It always weirds me out when the voice clearly says Emiya Shiro, but the subtitles, the voice clearly says the name, and the subtitles don't bother saying the name. That always weirds me out. But, I mean, I sort of maybe get the reasoning, because sometimes they would say the name in place of a U. But, like, when they say it, I feel like, put it in the subtitles, because we know they're saying it. Oh, right, more rejoicing time. Rejoice, Emiya Shiro! Memes. Kotomina says so and returns to the door he emerged from.
いや、待ってくれ。あんたに聞きたいことがあってきた。
No, wait, I had something I wanted to ask you.
そんなことは分かっている。時間外だからといって、訪れたものを追い返すことなどせん。
I know. I'll not turn anyone away, even if they come at odd hours. Oh, is it an odd hour? Oh, thank God it's not an even hour. So saying, Kotomina opens the doors to the back of the chapel. Oh boy, a confessional. But aren't we more interested in asking questions?
ついてこい。話といっても聖杯戦争の件だろ。そんな血生臭い話をここでするわけにもいかん。
Follow me. I'm sure it has to do with the Holy Grail War. I cannot have us talk about such bloody subjects here. Kotomina disappears into the back without waiting for my reply. Dash exclamation point. I've come this far, so I can't go back empty-handed. Not without saber sheath. I renew my determination not to be intimidated by Kotomina and follow him. Oh boy.
外もすごかったけど、中も凝ってるっていうか。
Interesting. This almost feels like his turn to the dark side. This feels like this is Shiro, and he's Anakin, and he's going to meet Palpatine in secret, and like he's turning to the dark side. Or, you know, I don't think that's actually going to happen. It'd be pretty cool. It'd be pretty cool if Shiro actually went evil. At least in some pathway. At least make that a bad ending would be neat. But the outside was brilliant, but the inside is exquisite as well. Is this a courtyard? Looks like it. There's a park and a passageway that seems too elegant for Kotomine to live in alone. That means he secretly is living with an evil version of Shiro all along, because there are two Shiros, because the Grail split him into two pieces, and regenerated him after splitting him into two pieces, and they both have a Grail inside of him, so there is secretly an evil Shiro already, not counting the evil Shiro inside of him.
何をしている? 話をするのならこちらに来い。
What are you doing? Come here if you have something to talk about. Shiro the Starfish. The priest turns yet another corner.
くそ、本当に待ったなしなんだな、あいつ。
Damn, he really doesn't wait. I follow him complaining. The church is like a small maze, so I have to follow him immediately. That sounds like something he would have set up. He would have set up a maze just to amuse himself somewhat. Try to cure his incurable boredom, as it were. Oh, I remember this room. I remember this room. Oh, boy. I remember him hanging out with Gilly here, I think. I think they did. It looked like this room, so it was probably this room. But I don't know. Dash, 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 dash. It's a modest room made of stone. This inelegant room seems to be Kotomine's.
もてなすものの一つもないが許せ。
I have nothing to forgive you with, but welcome me. What? Kotomine says so while sitting down. Dash, 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 dash. Is this the faint smell of wine? Oh boy, sure gonna get drunk? He's gonna get drunk on power. He must really like it if the smell is lingering in this room. I remember Gilly drinking some wine in here. Maybe that's who was drinking it. Maybe Gilly was hanging out with him recently. Because I don't know if Kirei was much of a drinker, but I know Gilly was drinking. When they were talking, he'd drink a whole bunch. So maybe he's been around.
どうした？話があるのではなかったか？そこでほうけられていても迷惑だが。
Did you not have something to talk to me about? It is bothersome if you just stand there dumbfounded.
誰もほうけてなんかいない。この部屋が意外だったから驚いていただけで。すぐに要件を済ませて帰る。
I'm not dumbfounded. I mean, I'm just dumb. I mean, I was just surprised by this room, and I'll go home right away once I'm done with my business. So just let me use the toilet, and I'll take my shit, and I'll be done my business, and I can go.
それは何より。私も子供に付き合うほど暇ではない。
Good. I do not have enough leisure time to socialize with children either. But I mean, you own the church, and the church has orphans sometimes, I would assume, so sometimes you would have to socialize them. I would assume to some extent, but whatever.
質問は手短にしてもらおう。
Keep your questions concise. Okay. Do I get a choice here, or is he going to ask the first one on his own? Point, 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 exclamation point. As expected, I hate this guy. Feels like he can read my mind, and I feel intimidated when I talk to him. Yes, there is a thing called being able to read people. Something that you're pretty bad at, being that you're stupid. This is his leisure time, not him acting as a priest. I suppose.
それで話は何だ、エミヤシロ。一応教えられることは全て教えたつもりだが。
So, what is it that you want to talk about, Emiya Shiro? I believe I've already told you everything I can. That's totally a lie. That is 100% a lie. You could tell him so much more.
嘘つけ。あんたは知ってたはずだ。
Don't lie. You must have known about it. About which part?
親父がセイバーのマスターだったこと。最後に聖杯を壊しちまったこと。
Don't lie. You must have
あ
known
んたは
about
聖
it.
杯を管理してる監督役なんだからな。
My father was Saber's master, and he destroyed the Holy Grail. You're the supervisor that manages the Holy Grail, so you must... Uh-huh.
ほう。セイバー自身がそう言ったのか。
Did Saber say that? Finally opened up to you, hmm?
ああ。前回の聖杯戦争はそうして終わったって聞いた。
Yeah, I heard that's how the previous Holy Grail War ended. Dash, 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 dash. Thinking about how he wants to respond. He's clearly gonna be... I'm sure he's gonna toy with Shiro. Even if he does tell him some truths, it's gonna be for some endgame of his, probably. But, let's see. What are you gonna say? The priest sinks into silence as if pondering. He probably doesn't even need to ponder. He's probably already thought in advance of how he would respond to Shiro if Shiro asked such a question. But he wants to look as if he's pondering, maybe to toy with Shiro's mind games.
サーバントが前回の記憶を受け継いでいるというのは異常だ。セイバーは故障しているのか、それともあのセイバーそのものが異常なのか。
Oh, he didn't know about Saber, maybe? I guess I guess you'd think he wouldn't know, unless it's just that I think he's some secret evil villain, maybe, so maybe he knows everything. But in theory, all things considered, he probably wouldn't know about Saber and her stuff. It's unusual for a servant to retain their previous memories. Maybe Saber is a failure, or Saber herself is abnormal. You'd think it'd be a success if they somehow did retain their memories. That's better than normal. Yet abnormal. More abnormal than failure. Although I think I could argue... Saber would agree that she's a failure of a king, and so she wants to erase all that. Which I disagree with, personally.
何にせよ、通常のサーバントとは言えないな。
Either way, you cannot claim she is a normal servant. Mm-hmm.
英霊は記憶など持たない。
Heroic spirits do not retain memories. We've already been over this with Saber. You're dodging the question, mister. The question is, why did you not tell me in the first place?
過去、現在、未来。いかなる時代にも呼び出される連中に記憶があっては矛盾が生じる。
Time isn't always straight. Heroic spirits do not maintain memories. There would be contradictions if they did, since they are summoned into many ages, the past, present, and future. Uh-huh.
奴らにあるものは生前の記録だけだ。死後英霊となってからの出来事は一切記憶されないはずだが。
All they have are memories from when they were alive. Anything that happens to them after they become a heroic spirit should not remain in their memory. We've been over this already. You're just kind of spewing stuff we already know at this point. The priest ponders as he must, not assent to the fact. Did he really not know, or is he dodging the question? Or did he really not know, but he's still dodging the question? But it's true that he didn't know, or did he know and is dodging the question with a thing that we would think he didn't know, but he does know, but he might not have known. But he's clearly dodging the question no matter what. I see. He doesn't know that Saber isn't a complete heroic spirit yet, so he's having trouble understanding. Sure.
いや、それが違うんだ。セイバーは他のサーバントとは事情が違うらしい。
Shiro, are you really gonna fall for his dodge? I think he's completely falling for his dodge. Kira may be trying incorporate the fact that Saber remembers what happened in Fate Zero into his plans. I suppose that's true if Kira didn't know in the first place. He is the kind of person that I guess would think that, oh, that's fun. And assuming he has some kind of plan, then the fact that Saber is a weirdo, he might, I guess, he could incorporate that to his plans if he didn't already know. Maybe that's the real reason he was pondering, I suppose. Chigaoyo, no, that's wrong. It seems that Saber's circumstances are different from the other servants. The priest ponders, he must not assent to the facts. Uh-huh. Interesting. Not as normal servants. That's when he pondered. I see. Different from the other servants.
事情が違う？なるほど。わざわざ訪れた要件はそれか。
Different circumstances.
話してみろ。
I see. So that must be why you came here. Alright, go ahead. That's the thing. There's still this part in my head where I'm like, oh, remembering from the previous war is normal. I know now that, no, they're copies and they'll never know anything from their previous selves. But if they made that clear in Fate Zero, I completely forgot about it. And throughout most of Fate's Day Night, they never made that clear. And so for the longest time, I've been under the impression that there's nothing weird about Saber remembering her memories from Fate Zero. And I was wondering why she wasn't saying anything to Shiro. And I also, I assumed, because I was under the wrong assumption, that Kirei knew Saber, and so Kirei would know that Saber knew about things, not thinking that she wouldn't, now knowing that he would think that she wouldn't. But I thought that he thought that she would, so I was thinking from his perspective, well, why does he think she's not? And maybe incorporating that, but it seems like that's probably not true. And it puts, things that I thought in the past into question. Because from the beginning, I thought Saber remembering her memories would be normal, but that's not how it works. And it's just, that still hasn't quite fully sunken in, I think. But, and I'm just now thinking about it now, about, Kirei hearing about Saber, and about how, Shiro has Saber, and maybe knowing who Saber is, theoretically. Kirei never Saber never went up to Kirei on purpose. But, if Kirei knew about who the Saber was, it'd be interesting. I don't know. The thought process changes, and I don't think I fully adapted to that. Anyways, different circumstances, I see. So that must be why you came here. Alright, go ahead. Dash. I don't like his haughty attitude, but this is no time to oppose him. I don't like it, but this priest might give me some answers. That's thinking like a strategist. Something you normally don't do.
それがセイバーは死んでないらしいんだ。
And you're just gonna fucking fully tell him this, huh? This guy who's like a chess master and probably planning something big and evil, and you're just gonna give him all the information. This seems like a bad idea. Then again, you don't know necessarily that he might... You don't know his personality enough to know that he might be chess mastering, but... Anyways, it seems Saber isn't dead yet.
あいつはまだ英霊になる契約をしていない。死の淵であいつが願ったのが聖杯を手に入れることで、その代償として英霊になることを認めたとか。
She still hasn't completed the contract to becoming a heroic spirit. Something like she wished for the Holy Grail on the verge of her death, and she agreed to become a heroic spirit as a price for obtaining it.
だからあいつはまだ死んだわけじゃないんだ。聖杯を手に入れるまでは死なず、手に入れてしまえば完全なサーバントになるって言ってた。
So she isn't dead yet. She won't die until she obtains the Holy Grail. And she said she'll become a complete servant when she does so. I feel like that fucks with the timeline though. Because like if she needs to obtain the Holy Grail to become a servant, and it's destined that she obtains the Holy Grail, and if time moves in weird directions about how past, present, and future would contradict, wouldn't it be possible that she would, if she was inevitably supposed to get the Grail, why couldn't she have already inevitably got it and still function like a servant? Because like if she can be summoned and have the powers of a servant, because she has to be because of the inevitable obtaining the Grail, why can't we just skip forward? Why can't she already have obtained the Grail, as it were? I don't know, that kind of thing says to me that maybe she never will, and she only thinks she'll wish like that, but it ends up, you know, it feels contradictory. Makes no sense why Kiri the Overseer would interfere in the war from Shiro's POV, since doing shit in this war won't help him in gaining the Grail. You're right. Like, here's the thing. I don't mind him saying this to Kiri. This feels like the kind of thing that will backfire, and we as the viewer, if we've seen Fate Zero, will know that it will backfire, but it's not really Shiro's fault. My problem is when he does things that clearly are dumb, that I think anyone would know are dumb, and he does them anyways and gets away with them. Like this backfiring, I don't think is going to be Shiro's fault. It feels like it's inevitable, but I won't blame Shiro for it. There are a lot of other things I do blame Shiro for, though, that I don't think he ever, very rarely gets punished for. But what has been and what will be has been. Yeah, that's the problem, though. If what has been and what will be has been, then why does Saber not already have the attributes of a servant? If she's inevitably going to get the Grail, then why is she working in weird ways like, oh, I can't, you know, make myself into spirit form because I haven't technically got it yet? But if past, present, and future work in weird ways, how can she ever, like, if she always is inevitably going to get it, and that's how the destiny thing works, then, it's working on chronology, but also working on inevitability, and I feel like they contradict each other. But, I don't know, it just feels silly that she's not fully a servant if we know she's going to inevitably be a servant, and if they get summoned in the past, present, and future simultaneously, I feel like if the way inevitability works, and if time doesn't work in a straight line, then I think she should just be a servant already by the nature of the inevitability, if it is inevitable, which it seems to be, but... Anyways, she isn't dead yet. She won't die until she obtains the Holy Grail, and she said she'll become a complete servant when she does so.
死んでいない。では、セーバーはまだ輪廻の枠にとどまっているということか。
Ooh, this seems to freak him out a little bit.
他の英霊のように時間から外れたわけではないと。
He probably thinks it's interesting. Not dead. That must mean Saber is still in the cycle of rebirth. So she's not removed from the concept of time like other heroic spirits. That itself feels weird. I don't know. Just based on the idea of... I don't. You get why I think I don't know, but...
ああ、そういうことだと思う。遠坂はセイバーは一人で時間に止まっているとも言ってた。
Right, I think that's it. Tosaka said Saber's frozen in time by herself. Sure, I guess. It's just like, even if Saber was summoned here without her full servant powers, if she's theoretically destined to become a full servant and be summoned in such ways that she is it like, that hasn't happened yet because the timeline has to be completely shifted and distorted for that to happen? Because if not, then if past, present, and future can all happen in timey-wimey ways, isn't it possible that Saber has been summoned in the past as a full servant because in the future she becomes a full servant if she's summoned in past, present, and future? maybe it is and we just don't know about it, or maybe it isn't because time doesn't work that way in Fate. I don't know. I like knowing how things work, and I don't get it, Mommy. Anyways.
そうか。英霊のように事が済めば消えるのではなく、聖杯を手に入れるまでは英霊として借り出されるということか。
I see. So rather than disappearing after she accomplishes something, she continues to be summoned as a heroic spirit until she obtains the Holy Grail.
だが、あれは未だ聖杯を手に入れていないため、失敗するたびに死の直前にいる自身に戻ってしまう。
But the Holy
そして
Grail
前回の記憶を持ったまま、
has
今
not yet
回
been
も呼び
attained.
出された。
So she returns to her deathbed every time she fails, and she has been summoned into this time as well, bearing all her previous memories. All we know that this saber that we have is right now is currently half dead and is seeking the Grail. I know, but like, you know, the destiny throws with me, because if it's predestined, then why is it only some of it's predestined and not all of it? Why does the predestined stuff, like, say, this gets to be predestined, but this doesn't? You getting the Grail is predestined, but you becoming a servant, like, it is predestined, that's why you're able to be summoned by the Grail, but you don't get the servant powers to, like, turn invisible and stuff. It feels like a plot convenience. I don't know. Like, it feels... I don't get what the point is of... It feels... Unless the point is that, well, Shiro can't have Saber around with him all the time because Saber being invisible would make him too protected, and Shiro needs her to not be there all the time, so he can't be easily protected, so they're making this excuse of, you know, she can't do these servant things, even though she has to do the servant thing of being summoned in the first place. Feels like a plot convenience that I feel like I don't mind, like, plot, everything in the plot exists for the plot, I understand that, but it just feels like they didn't, to me, fully, you know, they didn't really separate the convenience from, they didn't tie the convenience in with, like, this happens in the plot because of this. It also happens to work in the favor of a function of the plot because of this. It's just, this is the function of the plot. It doesn't, you know, fully make sense in why it's this way in the plot, but it makes things more dramatic. It kind of makes sense, but anyways. Bearing all our previous memories.
わざわざ死ぬために聖杯を求めるとは、英雄というのはわからぬな。
Obtaining the Holy Grail in order to die. I do not understand heroes. Because you yourself don't think of yourself as a hero? You were very uncertain of yourself for a while. But, yeah. Usually most heroes are like... The idea behind servants, from what people have said, is that they want to obtain the Grail to make themselves a real boy. So this is like the opposite of that. Make themselves... Apologies. If it was a plot convenience, they would have done it by Saber having some ability that for some reason makes her not invisible. I mean, that's not an ability though. That's an Achilles heel. I would have liked that more than this. If there was something about Saber as a servant that just made it so she couldn't go invisible because of something having to do with her life, the type of heroic spirit she is, she just can't go invisible or whatever, I would have preferred that, because I would have understood the plot reason, but also the narrative function. To the way they're doing it now, to me, this feels far more like a plot convenience, because everything is a convenience for the plot. I just, you know, when I hear an explanation, I'm like, that doesn't really jive. To me, that's when it distances itself from just being a plot convenience. I don't know. The point is, the way it's set up, it just feels like they've set this up as, like, sort of to flag that she's not a proper servant, but then you find out how she works, and it's like, wait, that doesn't jive. If she's inevitably a servant, why is she inevitably not fully a servant? Why is it just half a servant? But she's inevitably a servant enough to be summoned by the Grail, but not inevitably a servant enough to get all these other things that a servant has? Still the opinion of the reason why Saber is still alive, to reiterate the whole Saber is human, not an inhuman king's servant. Sure, but I feel you can want to bone the servants even if they're just copies anyways. I think you can want to bone them, in my opinion. I don't know. I mean, I get it. I understand what they're going for with, oh, she never died, but I just feel like they're breaking a rule that wasn't fully established anyways. It just feels like a lot of rules not being fully established and then breaking them and then being like, wait, what, that's a break? And so it's hard to, you know, rationalize everything. But... And so it gets to a point where, like, I have to turn my brain off for certain aspects because when it's on, I'm just questioning everything and nothing makes sense. In a bad way. But I don't like turning my brain off. I like it always being on. And if it always being on means that it doesn't make sense, then it doesn't fucking make sense. Anyways. Obtaining the Holy Grail in order to die. I do not understand, heroes.
そうして手に入れたところで待っているのはサーバントとして刺激されることだけだろうに。
Even if she does obtain it, all that is left is for her to be summoned as a servant. And again, the more narrative thematic. Even if it's, oh, it's cute that she's a real girl, that Shio can really bang. Like, sure, but again, that's plot convenience in my opinion. Like, they didn't really set it up to make sense. And so, it's like, oh, she's a real girl. I think it would have been fine even if she was a fake real girl. And so... Like, that's the thing. I thought that they always maintain their memories anyways. And so, finding out that they don't is like, oh, but Saber does because she's special because of X. Like, I almost think it would have been better if they're just like, oh, they all maintain memories. Saber's not special, but it does mean she's more vulnerable. Because, I don't know, like, I thought that in the first place, and I had no issues with Saber being a bonable... I don't know. I mean, it's like... I don't know. I just feel like things... There feels like a lot of plot convenience. And I'm not saying I dislike the plot. I think the plot is good. I just do think that things aren't very tidy on the back end, if that makes sense. This whole thing makes sense to me. I'm not saying I don't get it. It just... I don't give any real fucks about the whole Saber situation, about the whole alive thing, but that's more of a not caring much about Saber. I like Saber. I want to care. I want to try to care, and that's why I get mad when it's like... Anyways. All that is left for her is to be summoned as a servant. Yeah.
そうだ。たとえ聖杯を手に入れて、あいつが望みを叶えたところで、あいつは他のサーバントと同じになっちまうんだろう。
That's right. Even if she does obtain the Holy Grail and gets her wish granted, she'll just become like the other servants, right? I mean, I tend to be of the opinion that I'd rather a cool plot happen and they result in plot holes because the plot wasn't fully thought out than have a boring plot that has, like, no plot holes, but it's boring and they didn't do anything interesting because they couldn't think of how to make it make sense. I do prefer cooler things happening that result in plot holes than no plot holes. I think no plot holes and cool things happening is ideal. But I'd rather plot holes with cool things than no plot holes and no cool things. And so I feel like the plot has some holes at this point. But I think it's still good because I do like the plot. I just, you know, I see the holes and I'm like, Anyways. She'll just become like the other servants, right?
俺にはそれが納得いかない。そもそもサーバントって何なんだ？英霊を使い魔にするっていうが、セイバーみたいに矛盾した英霊もあり得るのか？
I don't like that. Anyway, what are servants? They say it's making heroes your familiars. But can that even be possible for a contradictory hero like Saber? Who fucking knows? The freaking game hasn't explained the rules at all. At least not well. Saber is nice when they focus on the teenage girl becoming an Iron King too soon, but the whole time travel thing... That's the thing. I like time travel, and I want to get invested, and they don't really fully get into it, and so I just have to ask all of these questions. But they get into it enough that I'm like, what? If they had just not touched it, that'd be one thing, but they touch it. And I feel like once you touch the girl, you gotta go the full way and actually rape her. Okay, that's a bad analogy. That can be even possible for contradictory hero like Saber. Maybe I'll eat my words. You say you don't see holes, but you know the whole plot. Maybe when I see the whole plot, I will take back my words of, you know, everything not making sense, because maybe things make sense once you know everything, and that's fine too. But if that is the case, I still think of it as an issue that at this point, there's just so much that I feel like they're breaking the rules without me understanding the rules. And I do think that's a problem. Even if things fully make sense eventually, at the moment, I'm just like...
さあ、そのあたりのシステムなど知らんよ。
I do not understand the system. Okay. Like, yeah, it seems like nobody really understands it. And that's fine. I don't know. It irks me. Like, the idea that no one understands it is fine, but it feels like there's so much that... it's like... people explain things with such confidence. Is my problem. Some of the time, people explain things with such confidence, and that's one thing if it's the person. It's just so many people a lot of the time explain things as if, oh, they're right. Not, oh, by the way, this is a theory, I don't know for sure. Yeah. I'm way more into the mystery of Shiro and the trauma of Ilya and Rin, interesting with each other all being damaged children. Yeah. Can that even be contradictory for Rin? I blame Rin. I blame Yosuke. I don't understand the system.
魂の永続。その秘宝を真似て作られたのがサーバントシステムだ。こればかりは立案者であった当時の人間しか知るまい。
Eternal continuation of the soul. The servant system is constructed by imitating that secret process. Only the deviser would know about this. The deviser. So whoever came up with the Grail, whoever the Grail itself, or who made the Grail, it's Shiro all along, magical time travel, metachlorians.
魂の永続
Eternal continuation of the soul?
いや、もともとはそういうものだっただけとい
No,
う話だ。
eternity is just in the past. Huh?
関係のないことだ。忘れろ。
It has nothing to do with this matter, so forget about it. What? Kirei-sensei, you're not making sense.
それでエミヤしろ。
So, Emiya Shiro.
つまるところ、お前はあのセーバーをサーバントではなくしたいというのだな。
You were saying that you wanted to stop being a servant, correct? Yes, I want her to be my fuck buddy, that is correct. Dash, 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 dash. Which makes Gilgamesh my truest rival, if there ever was one. Shiro's truest rival. Did he guess right? Did he? I think you would know, Shiro. I certainly think Saber's situation is strange. Kiri playing 4D chess with someone, not Shiro. I mean, Shiro, you know, he's not even playing 2D chess. He's still on the 1D level. Only 1D. He's only Shiro D Emiya. He's not Shiro D Emiya. King D. Oh my god. It's fine that she wants to obtain the Holy Grail. She just has to want to be a real girl. She has to want to be my fuck buddy. Even though it's not fine for you to want to obtain the Holy Grail, you've never thought what your own wish would be. God damn it. Shiro's playing checkers. Checkers can have some hardcore strats. Shiro is playing tic-tac-toe. All that awaits is her elimination. Shiro's playing chess but throwing swords at himself. You don't do that in normal chess. Shiro's playing chess and putting his king in check as often as possible, even though it's an illegal move. If a king other than King Arthur is chosen and King Arthur is no more, then she doesn't get to stay and be my fuck buddy. I think it's wrong for her to be summoned as the hero King Arthur after that. Okay, that's a fair thing to say. Which is not at all what you said to Saber when pressed, but... Uh-huh. But I mean, that's the deal, apparently. So, if she can stop being a servant and live as a normal human being, but she has no interest in that. So, like, you have to give her a reason to be interested in that. You can't just tell her, you should want this, because she doesn't. That is impossible.
死者は蘇らない。いかに時間に止まっていようと、私たちにとってセーバーは死んだものだ。
No, Shiro, that's exactly what he's doing. You lose the game if you lose the king. Stop using the king to protect the queen. That is exactly what he's doing. It's different because this king is secretly immortal and can't die, so he's playing an unfair version of chess. But, you know, the idea is there. That's why his strategies that are stupid end up working, because he's puts his king in check, but they just can't take his king, and they're like, wait, what? And that puts them in a trap, because it gives the other pieces a chance to corner them when they thought they were going to win, because he stupidly put his king in check, but he didn't realize that he's actually like Wolverine, and that put the opponents at a disadvantage, thinking they had the upper hand, because he also thought they were probably going to have the upper hand, or he didn't think that because he's stupid, but they ended up losing because he's immortal. Anyways, dead people will not come back to life. Even if her time is stopped, Saber is already dead for us. Okay, I guess, but wishes. He can use a wish to make her a real girl. If the Grail gives him a wish, that could be the wish. It could be Saber's wish. It could be his wish. They have wishes.
彼女を現世に呼び出しているのは聖杯の力であり、彼女が英霊になる交換条件を飲んだからだろう。
The power of the Holy Grail summons her into this time because she accepted the price of becoming a heroic spirit.
聖杯を求めない彼女はサーバントとして召喚されることはない。そして聖杯を求める以上、遅かれ早かれ彼女は完全なサーバントになるだろう。
If she does not seek the Holy Grail, she will not be summoned as a servant. She has to seek it for some reason, but I think she can still change her wish. She technically hasn't made a wish yet, so I think she could still technically change it, right? I don't know if that was part of the deal, that her wish had to be erasing the existence or whatever. She just has to stop seeking the Holy Grail. If she stops seeking the Holy Grail, then she won't be summoned as a servant anymore, and will just die, and then she won't be able to be Shiro's fuck buddy. So he doesn't like that, I don't think. He wants her to be rewarded. Her dying will not be her being rewarded. As long as she seeks the Holy Grail, she'll become a complete servant sooner or later.
たとえ今回が失敗に終わっても、彼女にはチャンスなど無限にある。
Even if she fails this time, she has infinite chances. No, she doesn't. Infinite chances implies it's possible she'll never get it, but she has to get it. That's how destiny and all that crap works, I think. It's not infinite chances. Eventually, she's destined to get it. Infinite chances means she could go on forever never getting it, but she has to get it. I don't know, it depends. Is her infinity longer than actual infinity? Or is her infinity shorter? Because that's why you can't say infinity, in my opinion. I mean, I understand the point of what you're getting at, but the word you're using, I am objecting with the nuance of...
セイバーは未だ時間軸にとどまっているため、聖杯を手に入れる機会を同時に行えるというわけでもないし、一度失敗した試練をやり直すということもできない。
Since Saber is still in the loop of time, she cannot be in two chances to obtain the Holy Grail at once, and she cannot redo a chance she has already failed. Okay, so multiple timelines don't matter? If she can stop seeking the Holy Grail, if she has the ability to just choose to die, then it's not destiny. I guess, but Shiro wouldn't want that. Even if you are correct, Shiro would not want that at all.
一度失敗した試練は何度やり直そうと失敗する。結果を体験しているからといって決定した結果は変えられないからな。
She will fail a chance she has already failed. No matter how many times she tries, once she has experienced the result, she will not be able to change it. You're really seeding time travel and alternate timelines and timeline jumping, aren't you? Because frickin', she will already you could just say, oh, she will fail, she must go to a next one to succeed. Instead, you go out of your way to say she'll fail a chance she has already failed, even if she does it many times. Why would you even say even if she does it many times? They're so seeding time travel so hard at this point. She cannot be in two chances to obtain the Holy Grail at once. She cannot redo a chance she has already failed. She'll fail a chance she has already failed no matter how many times she tries. Once she has experienced the result, she will not be able to change it. So what you're saying is that the will of Steins Gate is that she has to fail the Fate Zero War. There is no alternate timeline where she succeeds it? Is that what you're saying? Oh. So if she fails to get it in this timeline, then no matter how many times I change time, she'll always fail? Unless I just go back in time before we've gotten to the point of her getting it or not getting it, then technically we haven't seen the result yet. It's Schrodinger's result or whatever. Kiria is right, though, and the whole Shiro goes back in time to reduce shit. Maybe a no-go. Unless what I just said happens. He goes back just before it's decided. If it hasn't technically been decided yet, then you might not know for sure. I think that might be a cute play on the idea. Like the idea that, oh, she was going to get it, but he had to go back to make it so she got it. She wouldn't have theoretically got it if he didn't go back, but because he went back before she didn't get it, she ended up getting it. might be possible. Depends on how destiny works.
だがそれでも聖杯を手に入れるのは時間の問題だろう。聖杯を手に入れる機会はこの聖杯戦争だけではない。
Still, it should only be a matter of time before she obtains the Holy Grail. This is not the only opportunity for her.
聖杯に関する試練はあらゆる時代に存在する。
Trials to obtain the Holy Grail exist in all ages, but if she's going forward, her next chance has to be chronologically later in time, right? She can't go back in time, can she? Like, that's what I don't know. Maybe she can. Maybe she can be sent back in time. Can she be sent to alternate times? Does fate work on the alternate time? Or if it does, do servants work on the alternate time, or are they fixed to one time, even if there are alternate times?
その全てをしらみつぶしに続けていけば、いずれ聖杯は手に入れられる。
She continues to challenge each one, she will obtain the Holy Grail. This is all stuff that Saber's basically already told us.
そもそも彼女は結果として聖杯を手に入れるからこそ英霊として召喚されているのだ。
Yeah, that's pretty much what she's already said. From the beginning, she's being summoned as a heroic spirit because she obtains the Holy Grail as a result.
お前のセーバーをサーバントでなくす方法など、あれがお前の前に現れた時点で
From
存
the
在
moment
し
she
まい。
appeared before you, there was no way to stop her from becoming a servant. Which is why I question, if it's inevitable, why is only part of it inevitable? Why can't she just be a full spirit at this point? It feels like they're making it half-assed because it's plot convenient, and not like... It feels like there's no real reason to make it, oh, she's only half a servant now, beyond plot convenience, but... Interesting he says trials, not just the Holy Grail War. Well, they've only had 4 like this. There's possibly other fights for a Holy Grail that don't involve this specific type of war, possibly. Dash, dash, dash. I thought so. As long as Saber seeks the Holy Grail, there's no way to stop her from becoming a servant. She's already... He basically said the exact same thing she did. Unless you needed some confirmation bias, or you need someone else to say the same thing to get it through your head, there's almost no change from what he said to what she said. She can't be spirit right now because she isn't removed from timeline yet. Yeah, like... Why? If you're removed from the timeline, eventually she's going to be. And by that point, she can be past, present, and future all of the time. Unless we're saying that fate is going to shift the moment she gets it. But if it's inevitable she gets it, then fate should be pre-shifted. Anyways. I take time travel plots seriously. I know some people turn their brains off, and they're like, it's time travel, it can never work. I think it can work if it's done right. I just think this is setting itself up to not be done right. But I'm a big fan of time travel plots, so when time travel plots are attempted, and they aren't really done in a satisfying way, it makes me really bummed out, because I do take them seriously, because I really enjoy good time travel stories. After all, she'll continue like this until Saber herself decides to use the Holy Grail for her own sake. She will be removed, but the one that isn't removed still exists and takes priority into being summoned, is how I see this. It's not that I don't understand what you're saying, I just feel like the Fate universe's version of time feels contradictory to me based on that idea. Like, she should already have succeeded and have been summoned theoretically in the past, somehow. Even if we never met her, she should have already been theoretically summoned in the past, in other times in the past, as a fully completed servant. And also, would she not have also been summoned as a not fully completed servant in the past, in the future? Like, does she have to, like, why is it that the only past that we know from Saber so far, she said she inferred that she's done it multiple times, but the only one we know of happened in the past. Has there been other times she's failed that happened in the future? Because that might help me buy into this a little bit more. Like, has she failed in the future already in her past? Was she summoned in the future before? Because then I might start buying into this a little bit more, but as things stand, it just feels like, you know, we're trying to fit a cube into a circle hole, and it's like, it doesn't work. Your time travel plot, you haven't seeded it correctly. She'll continue this unless Saber herself decides to use the Holy Grail for her own sake. Even if this Holy Grail war ends and there's no need to fight anymore, she'll go on to the next chance to obtain the Holy Grail if she cannot obtain it this time. Sure. Once she obtains it, she'll become the heroic spirit thing and be sent out to many ages. which means she should have already obtained it and been sent out to the past, right? Unless time has to shift, but it's already shifted if she's I don't know.
じゃあ聖杯を手に入れようが手に入れまいがあいつはずっとサーバントのままなのか
Then she'll be continue to be a servant whether she obtains the Holy Grail or not. She has to obtain it. That's the whole point.
いや、そうとは限らんだろう。聖杯が本当に万能の杯であるのなら、セーバーを救うことはできる。
No, that is not the case. If the Holy Grail is truly omnipotent, it will be able to save Saber. But the Holy Grail also seems to be kind of a dick from what we understand, so why would it bother saving her? It certainly wasn't willing to do the world peace when Kiritsugus was like, world peace, and he's like, bitch, tell me how. Huh? Hello, Optic Chitwick. We're talking about time travel, and how Sphatus has a weird version of it, I think. We haven't technically done any time travel yet, but I'm sure it's fucking coming. They've seeded it so hard.
けどあんたはさっきそれは不可能だと
But you just said that was impossible.
なあ、セーバーをサーバントでなくすのは不可能だ。
Oh, so what I was saying is right. It's impossible to stop her from becoming a servant, but her wish is not predetermined. Is that what we're saying? She doesn't have to go back and change things, because that's what I was wondering about. So we could still potentially, you know, make her save herself with her wish. That's what I was thinking the whole time, though. I think Shira's just a dumb for not thinking from that angle. I mean, he was. He thought that she should obtain it and do that, but she wasn't, like,
だがお前が望んでいるのは、セーバーを人としてこの世に留まらせることだ。
But your wish is for her to stay in this world, is it not? Because you want to bone her some more. Uh-huh.
ならば、そう難しいことではない。
It's not that difficult. If Kira is just gonna say, use your wish, and he's like, I can use my wish? Oh my god. I mean, I get it. He's stupid. I've accepted Shira's stupid at this point, but it's just gonna be so funny.
聖杯戦争が終わった後、サーバントを人として生かすこともできる。もっとも、死んでしまえば死の直前にいる彼女に戻ることになるが。
You are able to keep her here as a human even after the Holy Grail War ends, although she'll return when she dies. Huh? I'm sorry, what? Huh? What? This is what I mean about people explaining things as if they know things, even though, how would they know? Like, you are saying that it seems like you just learned of Saber apparently being a real girl, unless you knew it all along and that was a lie, I don't know. It's hard to tell when people act so confident when it's like, how do you know these things? You say that, oh, you'll be able to keep her here as a human. What's the precedent? How do you know that she'll be able to? Are you just being confident for no reason? I mean, I guess, with Kira of all people, I understand he's playing 4D chess, so I could see it. But it feels like a lot of times, people like Rin say things confidently, all that Saber says things confidently as if they know things when they have no way to know it. He could be fucking with him. He could very easily be toying with Shiro's emotions, knowing that Shiro was stupid, but, you know, like, so many people do it that I have to question, is it? Am I supposed to take this seriously, or am I supposed to maybe think, oh, maybe Kiri's being a fucker? Or am I supposed to take it seriously and it's going to be a plot twist that he's being a fucker? I think he's being a fucker from the start because of my knowledge of Fate Zero, but maybe I'm not supposed to think that because I'm not supposed to know Fate Zero, so maybe I'm supposed to take him at his word, and then it later turns out he's being a fucker? I guess? You're not able to keep her, you're able to keep her as a human even after the Holy Grail War ends, although she'll return when she dies.
それはどうやって
How do I do that? You have wishes, you know. The Grail's gonna give you a fucking wish in theory. If she gets the Grail, you get the Grail too!
英霊とサーバントは似て非なるもの。
The heroic spirits and servants are spurious. I'm sorry, what? Spurious? I have to look up what a word means now. Spurious? Never heard of that. Spurious. What is that? Not being what it purports to be. False or fake. Illegitimate. The heroic spirits and servants are spurious. Well, yeah, we know they're copies. Which means they disappear immediately. But you're saying Saber won't? Will she still keep her powers? How does this work? She did disappear. She disappeared immediately in Fate Zero, but that might be because the explosion killed her or whatever.
通常英霊として召喚される者には意志などない。
Normally what is summoned as a heroic spirit does not have a mind. Rude. Just because they're a copy doesn't mean they can't have a mind. Hashtag clone lives matter.
連中はただ目的を果たすためだけの道具として召喚され、
It is summoned as a
消え去ってい
tool
く。
to meet an objective and disappears.
だがサーバントは別だ。
Servants are different.
あれは聖杯によって呼び出された本体だからな。
They're the true body summoned by the Holy Grail. What? Wait, what? Wait, what? Heroic spirit and servant. What is summoned as a heroic spirit does not have a mind. Huh? Huh? Wait, so all servants have minds? You're confusing me now, Kirai. Which is which? God damn it. It's like they're so confident, but they're also so confusing in their confidence. What are you saying, man?
それならば、世界に留めておくだけで人として生きていこう。
So they can live in as humans just by keeping them in this world. Gathering all my, You're gonna nap? Like, what are you saying? Heroic spirits are, like, normally, you're saying normally they're just copies and fakes and stuff. Okay, but servants are different. All servants are the... What? Huh? But all servants are servants? So what the fuck are you saying? Ah! Wait, are you really... Wait, what? So gathering all my... Are you really going to nap? Oh, yeah, because I didn't think he was going to nap. You feeling tired? Sorry, Wise. I honestly just took that as a joke because he usually stays for the whole thing. I'm sorry if I take that for granted. I appreciate you being here all the time, Wise. They can live as humans just by keeping them in this world?
そんなことできるのか？
You can do such a thing? I mean, yeah, you can grant wishes with the Grail generally. I thought this was a given.
前回セイバーは聖杯が壊れた時点で消えたと言っていた。聖杯がなくなってしまえばサーバントは残っていられないんじゃないのか？
Saber said she disappeared when the Holy Grail was destroyed. Isn't it true that servants can't stay if the Holy Grail is gone? Well, maybe that was because Kiritsugu used up his last seal and they lost the connection. Maybe if you keep your seal, they can stay? Or, you know, maybe it was the fact that she was blown up by the Grail's explosion and not so much that she couldn't stay. If I wasn't a mod, I'd be sleeping during this portion of this game. It's mostly Saber time travel. Ho ho ho. Thankfully, you know, we get to experience the Saber time travel ho 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 and wanna fuck Saber together. So, you know, cheers, Wise. I'm gonna tap my glass against my other glass and pretend it's your glass. As if you have a glass. Ah, Merry Christmas.
無論だ。サーバントを呼び出すのは聖杯であり、その後に彼らを維持させるのがマスターの役割だ。
Opinions will be opinions will be opinions. And for Zakari, this is one of his favorite parts of the VN. I can sort of see why. There's a bunch of Zero revelations. I can get why this would be interesting. To me, it's like, well, I already know the Zero stuff, so it feels kind of, feels kind of repetitive. But I get that's not really fair. Anyways, Saber said disappear in this Holy Grail. Isn't it true, sir? Of course, the Holy Grail merely summons these servants. Is the role of the master to maintain them after that? Aha. So as long as they don't use up all their seals, is that the trick?
だがそれも聖杯がマスターの後押しをしているからでね。本来魔術師一人程度の魔力ではサーバントを維持できない。聖杯という強大な魔力提供源がなければサーバントは消えてしまう。
Shiorin Sakura Ilya, fan of the chat. This portion is low on my list. I've grown to like Saber, and I kind of like the Shiro Saber romance, even if I do think the time travel stuff is, or the timeline stuff. There hasn't actually been any time travel yet, but the timeline stuff is a little woggly. That is possible because the Holy Grail is aiding the Master. The magical energy of a Magus is not enough to maintain a servant. If one does not have a donor called the Holy Grail, their servant will disappear. But they can still stay if they decide to become a Muggle. That's kind of what I assumed. I assumed that's how Archer stayed in this world, was by becoming a Muggle. Maybe he got his powers back when the Grail reappeared, or because a new war started, or did he keep them all along? Like this part mostly because Kirei is talking and you like Kirei? I can see that. I like Kirei.
だろうな。なら
Yeah, he is just expositing, and a lot of what he's expositing is stuff that we already know or just feels kind of obvious. So, I thought so, then...
いや、足りないのなら補えばいいだけの話だろ。
If you do not have enough, all you need is to compensate for that. By what? Killing a bunch of people? So if I kill a bunch of people, I can keep Saber here as my waifu? because that's something Saber and would not want. And I on the surface would not want, but maybe really if I really want Saber, I might try to want it. But I know Saber wouldn't want it, or at least I think Shiro would know that, so he probably wouldn't want it if it would make Saber unhappy.
サーバントにとって魔力提供など代償行為に過ぎない。連中の本質は魂食いだ。
For
存
servants,
在濃度が薄れ始めたのなら、他
furnishing
人の
magical
魂で
energy
補充すればよい。
is only an act of compensation. It is their true nature to consume souls. If their existence starts to fade, it can be replenished using other souls. So you're saying I need to go eat souls so that Saber can continue living. Shiro with more evil character development may consider that option. Yeah. But and also because Saber, he knows that probably Saber wouldn't want that. He even considered that earlier on, because that's what he was going to do in the first place, to keep Saber around because their connection seemed to be weird and severed. But then he's like, no, I can't do that. Saber wouldn't like that, and I don't want that, and that whole thing. So this is no different, and I don't think he would want that. This is basically what their option was in the past, that he was like, no, I'm a goody two-shoes, I can't do that. Does that mean attacking random people like Shinji did? You know, you don't have to attack random people. You could very purposely attack people you don't like, you know, if you want to be kind of nice about it.
ふざけるな。そんなことできるものか。
Don't be ridiculous, I can't do such a thing. I mean, if you want to be like a superhero, you could say, fuck being a superhero, you could be a vigilante, and go find bad people and kill them and give their souls to Saber. Maybe that would be enough? Would that be enough souls, though? This is just... Don't be ridiculous, I can't do such a thing. We're doing plot points? I mean,
大体な、セイバー自身そこまでして残ろうと思ってない。
We're not even on another route yet. First of all, Saber wouldn't want to stay if she had to go that far. But I mean... Like, that's the thing, though. Saber doesn't want to stay in the first place, so...
そうか。ならば、あとは聖杯の中身を使うしかあるまい。簡単な話だ。お前が真実セーバーを人として生かしたいのなら、
I see.
聖杯をセーバーに飲ませればいい。
Then you'd have to use the contents of the Holy Grail. It's simple. If you want Saber to live as a human being, have her consume the Holy Grail. Well, if my theory about having a part of the Grail inside him is true, he could maybe give that part to Saber and die in some kind of dark ending where, you know, she lives and he dies, and she's like, no, Shiro! The ultimate sacrifice to finally kill himself. Possibly, maybe, possibly. He must have predicted my response. The priest's expression tells me that he was waiting to reach this conclusion from the beginning. Tiredness is making me more moody, and that's why I'm becoming way more critical. It's okay, Wise. I tend to be critical, so I don't mind your criticalness.
それは聖杯で俺の願いを叶えろってことか。
You mean, have the Holy Grail grant my wish? That's right, Shiro, you get to have a wish too! Oh boy! Did you finally need Kirei to tell you that to understand that notion?
いや、それはお前の願いとは関係がない。
Oh, never mind.
聖杯の中身はそういうものだ。
I think that's still the first time he's acknowledged the idea of using his own wish on it, but okay. It has nothing to do with your wish, which you apparently just now are acknowledging you could maybe have. It's the contents of the Holy Grail itself. It is funny, the first time he ever acknowledges it, it gets brushed aside.
リンから聞かなかったか？サーバントは杯に満ちた水を飲むことによって、現世で二度目の生を授けられるのだと。
Did you not hear from Rin? Servants are able to start a second life by drinking the water of the Holy Grail. Is that how it works? I knew they were able to, like, keep themselves in the world, but I didn't know the process. So you're saying she could do that the same way? I mean, okay, I think that works then. But that's, like, has to be their wish, though, right? If they drink from the Holy Grail, that's their wish, isn't it? Do they get a wish on top of that? Because that feels like doubling up on wishes.
もっとも、それはこの時代の使い魔として立場を確立したに過ぎぬがな。肉体は依然サーバントのままだが、マスターさえ存命ならば、この世界にとどまれるようになる。
So Gil drunk the cup of water. But I mean, yeah. So, can't he do that? Isn't that, like, getting to... I don't know. It's just like, as far as I'm concerned, he won. I feel like Saber's kind of petty, but I feel like, you know, I'm just going to count that as Saber's win. Or sorry, Archer's win. Saber's win, if she wishes. That only means they have become a familiar summoned in this age. Their bodies will still be that of a servant, but they'll be able to stay in the world as long as their master is alive. Oh, so we're saying if Kirei, if you're the master, if you die, he would just die? It says that he's able to maintain himself without a master, though, so how does that work? Only means they have become a familiar. So it'll turn them into familiar with a contract with who their master is. So if I have her drink the water, she can stay here as my familiar. And, like, she's still fated to die and go back there, but as is every human. And so but her wish, if she does her wish to erase herself from existence, like, will that happen the moment she dies in this time, or is it pre-inevitable? At what point does the pre-inevitableness happen? Do I have to change her wish? Get her to change her wish before I get her to drink the water? Or by that point, is it too late? At what point have we time-fucked ourselves?
けどそれは
But that means you have to value your life, Shiro. It means if you die, Saber dies. So start valuing your life, damn it. And stop throwing yourself into situations where you're gonna die. But you never die anyways, because you're Wolverine. That hasn't solved anything. What do you mean? That solves everything. If you get her to drink the thing, she's gonna stay. Unless you want to be like immortal and live forever and be great. Row, fight the destiny. Uh-huh. Even if she can stay in this world, it's meaningless if she's still a servant. You want her to break ties from being a servant? I mean, okay. I feel like that part has already been set in stone. What does it matter? They'll just be copies at that point. I mean, I don't know. It's weird to think of, because, like, she's still a servant, but so what? What does the afterlife even be in this world? How is that better than being a servant? They're just copies being summoned. Like, she was good at being a king all those years, so I think she'd be good at doing the servant role. Like, you could keep her here, you know, to hang out with for a while, and then she'd go back and die and be a servant. She'd live out her life and then be a servant. I feel like it's fair, but I guess you want to have your cake and fuck it too, and also then have the cake not become a servant, I guess. My servant is a servant that'll pierce the heavens. Uh-huh, sure it is. Gurren Lagann was a bit too much super robot for my tastes. I'm more of a real robot fan. I think Gurren Lagann's okay, but I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the third act of Gurren Lagann. And I think the first two they tell a fine story, and then the third act was like, that could have been cool as like a movie, but what do the real heroic spirits even do if only copies are summoned? Maybe the real heroic spirits like protect the timeline, or you know, defend the multiverse from evil Cthulhu entities that make pacts with warlocks if this is Dungeons and Dragons. Of course, that only happens in the distant past. Probably the distant past is a lot cooler, or the distant future, and the present is just lame. Even if she can stay in this world, it's meaningless if she's still a servant. She can't exist without magical energy from her master, and if she stays in this world like that, she returns to that hill after she dies. I mean, everyone dies at some point. Does it matter if she dies on the hill, or dies in, like, you know, 70 years if you give her a new life? Saber wouldn't do it. Which part? Wouldn't do what? Drink the water? Because she doesn't want to? Because she hates herself? That part, maybe you're right. Future's all tech, past is all magic. Preston is half-assed tech and magic. Yeah, pretty much. Feels true about the real world, too. Past was all, you know, it was fun exploring the new world and being like, what else is out there in the world? In the present, we found the whole world, and it's just kind of boring. In the future, we're going to have, you know, space, and we're going to be able to explore space because tech is going to get better. And in the past, the whole world was new for everyone, and so it was like, oh, this is fun. And now it's like, present's boring. Everybody knows everything, but our tech isn't high advanced enough to really travel through space much, so it's like we're stuck in limbo. And Saber wouldn't do it. She isn't interested in a second life, and she said she's going to use the Holy Grail for another purpose. Oh, excuse me. I mean, yeah, she has. Hiccups? First of all, the key to everything is the Holy Grail. Does it mean it still exists in this world? If it doesn't, then how are all the servants summoned? Hold on. Okay, go away, Hiccups. Of Rin's viewpoint, being a normal person would bring more happiness than doing extraordinary shit. Depends on what you mean by normal person. Like, if you mean like 9 to 5 day job, I think that's I think extraordinary. Depends on what, like, if great power has to come with great responsibility, then maybe, I don't know. But what happens, what if you could just have great power and be like, fuck the responsibility? Anyways.
話は分かった。
Yeah, the lines are kind of repetitive. They've been repetitive this whole
聖杯を
conversation.
手に入れるしかないってことだろ
But it's Kiri saying it, and it makes
う。
sense,
聖杯はあるの
honestly.
か
Even though it
親父が
is
壊したんならも
even though it is repetitive, it's not like it doesn't make sense. Shiro's been shown to be this kind of, dumb person, dense person that needs things repeated to him in specific ways, and so it's not like it's out of character or out of, and Kirei doesn't know Saber said all this shit before. Does that mean it's bad narratively? I don't know. I think an argument can be made it's bad narrative for Shiro to be so stupid, but we'll see. That just means I have to obtain the Holy Grail, right? But does the Holy Grail still exist? If my father destroyed it, then... yeah.
もう何かね。
Then what? Then maybe it restored itself. We already had that conversation, too.
う聖杯がないのなら戦う理由がない。こんな馬鹿げた殺し合いは無意味だ。
If there's no Holy Grail, there's no reason to fight. This ridiculous fight is pointless. The fact that you're jumping to the idea that there's no Holy Grail is stupid. You know the Grail has to summon the 7 servants, right? Or do you not? Are you stupid? Are you so stupid that you don't comprehend the fact that the servants would not be here if the Grail was not summoning them? Or something was summoning them? And I think the base assumption is that it's the Grail. I think the idea that it's not the Grail is the more out there thought.
戦う理由はないか。何を今更。
Oh, you have no reason to fight, huh? Why do you say that now? That probably struck a chord with Kirei, because he was constantly searching for a reason for him to do anything. Yeah, it's interesting that he says he has no reason to fight now, because back in the day, he had no wish. He never had a wish, and he was just fighting because he wanted to prevent a disaster. But now he's like, well, there's no reason to fight. But for Shiro, there never was a reason to fight. But, like, there is a reason for him to fight now, because he wants Saber to become a real girl, which he needs the Grail for. He himself still doesn't have a wish, but it's changed that he needs Saber. He wants Saber to get everything, all of her happiness or whatever. And so, without the Grail, he's like, what's even the point of fighting? But there was never a point of fighting, in a way, from his perspective anyways. He certainly wasn't gung-ho about it in any way. It makes sense in-universe. It's boring as fuck out-of-universe. At least the other times fit with all Shiro's trauma, etc. Shiro's trauma isn't really the point of this repeating convo. I guess. I mean, I sort of just accepted, well, Shiro's dumb, so I'll just go with the punches. And this is, to me, just another one of those punches. It does feel repetitive, but like, I don't know. Once I got past the Shiro being dumb and not minding that, I don't mind this as much, but I get it. I get why this would bug someone. Just the whole notion of Shiro being this dumb constantly and never changing in itself bugs me enough that once I got past that, this doesn't really faze me that much, but... You have no reason to fight, Why do you say that now?
もとより君に理由などない。
Exactly. You had no reason to fight from the very beginning. You never had a fucking wish. As he says so. Time freezes. Uh-huh. Did you finally realize that you never once considered your own goddamn wish? Never once did you ask yourself, what would I want? You know you want the satisfaction of winning. He brought to you the idea that, oh, you could wish for a villain to fight. Maybe that's why you never thought of what you'd want, because that's what you really would want. You want someone to fight. You want a damsel to save. That's what you want. But this war gives you the opportunity to have that without needing to wish for it. So I shouldn't use my wish for that, but you still can't help fucking thinking about it, because you're a bad person. Dumbness and stupidity are fine when there's a purpose in the narrative for it showing a character's flaws and whatever, but here we could have started at this, yeah, I guess. You're not wrong. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not saying that this is done right, just that it doesn't really faze me, because, like, when I went into this, I was expecting, oh, cool war from all sides, where people come up with smart ideas, and I was like, okay, sure, it's kind of dumb, but he's got to get smarter. When this happens, he's got to think, oh, I got to get smarter, and it never happened, and so, to me, that feels like weird writing. Maybe not bad, but weird, and I've just accepted the weirdness, and so this doesn't really faze me. I just accept it as part of the weirdness, but I get it. I get why someone wouldn't like this, but as he says, so time freezes. No reason to fight. I mean, yeah, you've never once considered your own wish. The only time you did was like when you're like, can I use my wish to save Saber for 5 seconds a little bit ago. You also considered your wish. The only other time was when Kirai first brought it up to you. You could have a wish. You could finally get what you want. Get a supervillain to fight. Get people to save. And you're like, no, I wouldn't use my wish for that. And then you never once considered what you would actually use your wish for. And it's not like you're like Rin doing it for the fight. You're doing it because you want to fuck Saber. That's your wish, even if you can't put that into words. Maybe because you don't want to put that into words because you know it's selfish as fuck. And you're like, no, I have to use my wish for something good. But you have nothing good. You're a terrible person. And that's what makes you interesting, I guess. That's what this priest told me before. At that time, I just became a master and I didn't have much of a reason to fight. Uh-huh. That's why I ignored it. And I thought it was just sarcasm. But it was the truth. How can you think it's anything else at this point after having never considered it again? What about now? Your only wish now is that you want to fucking bang Saber, which you think she's going to do with her own wish. Which would still free you up for a second wish, but you haven't thought about that at all. I have a reason to fight. If there's a Holy Grail, I want to end this fight and give it to Saber. But yeah, just for Saber, even though you should also get a separate wish alongside that. You never think about it, though. I have a reason to fight. That's not a real reason. That's a fake-ass fucking reason. When the character growth goes from aimless hero to fake hero who only wants happiness but can't get it by saving people to I want to fuck Saber. Yeah, pretty much. That's his reason. That's his entire... Like, the only part of him that's making him not evil is basically is the part that wants to fuck Saber, which, you know, puts him in line with Gilgamesh, I would say. I'd argue I like Gilgamesh more, though, because he's more confident in what he wants, and he knows what he wants. Whereas Shiro is super conflicted. I have a reason to fight. So why do his words make my body shake so much that I want to vomit? Because you haven't ever considered your own wish?
まあよかろう。今はエミやシローの傷を切開する時ではない。
We'll forget about that for now. Now is not the time to open up your wounds. Your mental wounds? When will be the time? Jeez. Gilgamesh has the advantage of being at the end of his character arc. Shiro is still in the middle of it. Is this the middle? Gosh. I mean, apparently in his myth, from what you told me, Gilgamesh eventually loses immortality and becomes more of a noble king or whatever. But even still, before that, it's like you can have multiple character arcs. The notion that a character only gets one arc, I think, is so faulty. You can have multiple arcs within one character. You can have an arc that goes through the whole progression, stops, and then the character is settled for several years, and then another arc starts. You know, that can happen. They don't have to just have one arc. Or they could just not have an arc. No, that's right. That's right. He wanted immortality and then became humble when he lost the chance to get it. Yeah, something like that. I don't know the lore well enough. You said it and you confused me, but whatever. What am I saying? The idea that characters need an arc is also, I think, kind of faulty. You can have an interesting character without them having any kind of growth. You can have an interesting main character without them having any kind of growth. Now, generally, character growth is what drives stories. Character motivations drive stories, and character growth is generally what changes stories into interesting ways. But that doesn't mean necessarily that if a character doesn't grow, it makes them bad. Now, if you have literally an entire cast of characters that are not growing, generally the plot would stagnate unless it's hitting them all in the face. But, you know. Yeah, static characters can be executed very well. But there's definitely this thing I've seen around, this buzzword of, oh, no, they didn't have a character arc, therefore they were a bad character. Like, no. Well, forget about that for now. Now is not the time to open up your wounds. Indeed. I hear a voice. I do think it's a problem when literally every character in the cast is static, because generally character arcs are what changes the plot and moves it in interesting new directions, usually. So when every character is static, then that is when the plot probably becomes kind of lame. But like, you can have a few people that change and the majority don't and still be fine, usually. I hear a voice. Still, arcs can be good, but non-arcs aren't inherently bad. Yeah. A voice I don't want to hear. Oh, fuck. What? What's this voice? But it makes my mysterious nausea stop. Oh no. Who is it? Who's here? Is it Gilgamesh?
聖杯はある。
Oh.
もとより聖杯は受け皿に過ぎぬからな。
There is a Holy Grail. The Holy Grail is only a vessel anyway. Okay. So it's just Kirei's voice that makes you want to vomit? Okay, so you were just in your head for a little bit and you want him to not talk? I thought there was something more to that, but... The Holy Grail is only a vessel anyway.
なくなれば、用意したものが新しい聖杯を用意する。
If it goes away, the preparer will prepare another one. Who the fuck is the preparer then? Who's making these grails? Who has the power to do that? Fucking God? Or something? Or has the grail of its own free will and is like making itself again even if it like its soul is shifting? So far in the story, most of the characters seem to have a character arc. Except for all the characters that have, you know, died. I mean, it's sometimes hard to pin down if characters have an arc or not when they haven't changed at all. I would argue Rin has had a minor arc. Rin could have more of an arc later on. She might be in the middle of an arc, or maybe it was never an arc. I assume it's an arc. I assume Rin's gonna get past some stuff, but I don't know until I've seen the whole thing. So sometimes, you know, this stuff makes more sense in hindsight. But, Rin had an arc with trusting Archer. It was like a minor thing, not a major thing. If she does have a major arc, it hasn't really progressed very far yet. Ilia had a clear arc. Ilia was like, no, I can't be with Shiro. And it's like, now I can be with Shiro. Yay, that's an arc. Shiro had an arc in the sense of learning that he really, really wants to bone Saber. But his arc of realizing that he hates himself and that that's bad hasn't... It seems like that's progressing very slowly, if at all. But that's the thing. It's hard to judge arcs when they're only partway in. Like, because it's possible they're just a character trait that's not an arc. But a lot of them feel like they're probably arcs, but we don't know. Or, I don't know. Maybe you know. Uh.
用意したものが新しい聖杯を用意するって、聖杯ってそんな簡単に作れるものなのか?
The preparer will prepare another one? Is the Holy Grail that easy to make? Something I've been thinking about a lot recently is the idea of, you know, theorization and expectations. And I have to pee, and I think this might be a time to stop. Just while we're here. Because there's something I want to get off my mind, and then I think by then I'm like, I'll probably stop. We're at 3 hours, more or less. By the time I'm done, my thing that is in my head will probably be at 3 hours. Yay, Kiro, yay. Yeah. Kirei, Shiro. One true father-son relationship. OTFSR. Save. So I've been thinking about this whole thing about expectations. There's like I thought Archer had his arc from going from cynical man to sacrificing himself for everyone. We know that he wanted world peace the whole time, so yeah, like is that even an arc? Hard to say. When can Gilgamesh kill everyone so we move on from this Saber timeline? Okay, so there's this idea of expectations, where, at least there's my idea of expectations, of there are things that you think will happen, and this is sort of a self-realization that I've had recently, is that you can sort of categorize them into four categories, mostly three. There are things that you think will happen because of theories and stuff that you have, but there's maybe there's no specific drive that you have for it to happen. There's no emotional interest. It's just that you see seeds in the plot that make you think it's going in a certain direction, but you don't necessarily have any vested interest in it, so if it doesn't happen, you don't mind. If anything, you might prefer it if it doesn't happen, because you might think it happening that way is too predictable, potentially. If you've heard some of my mystery series playthrough, I don't know if there are mysteries in this game, but it's not really, like, straight-up mystery like Zero Escape or Danganronpa. You'll constantly hear me say, is this too obvious? And there's that aspect of, it's something I think will happen, but not necessarily something I want to happen, so I'm like, or is it too predictable? and so I'm hoping it won't happen in that sense. There's the theories that you think will happen that you have no vested interest in. Then I guess you could argue there's a subset of that, of the theories you think will happen that you don't want to happen because you think that's boring and you want something interesting, which is, I suppose, where the "is this too obvious" comes from. Then there's the other set of theories that aren't really based on things you think will happen, just things you want to happen. Like, what's a base example? Like, for example, I want Shiro and Ilya to, like, become the OTP at the end of it. I want the canon ending to be that Shiro and Ilya start banging. For example, if I was to say that, that's not wrong. If that happened, that would be cool. I think that's a cool idea. I would like to see it because I'm a horn dog. But like, I don't have any, there's not enough seeding in the plot for me to expect that. I very much expect a Shiro-Saber pairing, at least in this pathway. And so I don't, if the Shiro-Ilya thing happened, I'd be like, oh, that's super cool. But if it didn't, I'd be like, well, I didn't think it was going to happen. I don't feel like there's enough seeding there. And so there's things you think will happen and things you want to happen. If things you think will happen don't happen, you generally don't mind because you think they'll happen, but you don't necessarily want them. If things you want to happen but don't necessarily think will happen don't happen, you probably also won't mind because you didn't necessarily think they would happen. You just, it's just a personal want for you. But then there's the crossover, and that's the tricky wicket. When it's something that you see seeding plot for that you think will happen, but also something that you want to happen, that's when authors have to be careful. Because when they think it'll happen and they want it to happen, it generally needs to happen. But what people want is going to very much differ from person to person. What people think will happen will also differ, but usually it's more consistent than what people want. But when someone thinks something will happen and they want it to happen, it does not happen, then the author, like, if they're going to have it not happen, they need a very good alternative. Like, if, for example, if I wanted to see Shiro X Saber be a thing, and I don't necessarily want that, I think they're handling it okay, but if I was the most vested in Shiro X Saber, instead of being most vested in Shiro X Ilya, then I wanted that to be a thing, then that not being a thing, if that doesn't end up being a thing for some reason, like, I don't think this'll happen, but, like, if Shiro or Saber died partway through the narrative, and the rest of the narrative, the other characters continued on, then that means Shiro and Saber as a couple would never happen. And so, if my theoretical want of Shiro Saber being a couple doesn't happen at that point, and I think it'll happen based on the seeding, and I want it, I'll be pissed. The only way to get rid of the pissedness is if you can find a way for the viewer to get something just as good, or you can use potential from the fact that it didn't happen. Like if it doesn't happen and it's just they don't get together, that might suck. But if it doesn't happen because Shiro dies and then Ilya has to take over as Saber's master, and there's some really interesting character development and dynamics between them, and that goes down a really interesting direction, then I may forgive not getting what I want, theoretically. You could argue what I actually want from Shiro is to see some of what's the evil thing inside of him. Maybe they never show that because Shiro dies early. I think there's something evil inside of him, so the idea of not seeing what that is seems really dumb to me. However, it's all about lost potential versus gained potential. If Ilya takes over as Saber's master, potentially, and there's some really interesting potential there, they could show some really interesting stuff, and make me be like, well, yeah, I wanted that, but they gave me something just as good, so I forgive it. And it can be a very tricky balance for an author to do that, sometimes, because it's hard to know what someone will want and someone will think, and if they'll think it and want it, and taking away something they'll think and want is also, like, but at the same time, if you just do everything that everyone wants, the plot could argue become predictable. And predictability isn't always bad, but it sometimes is. It depends on the type of series, especially for a mystery lover. Like me, I love mysteries. I love plot twists. And it's especially hard for mystery authors because, they have to give some kind of twist. It's a mystery, right? But, if they just do, if people have seeded enough and think they know what's going to happen and they want it to happen and they don't, then the author has a very hard job on their hand. It's just, it's things I've thought about, just thinking about, plot twists, ones I like, ones I don't like, and where that comes from. My realization from this re-journey through this game with Rennie is that I love some characters even more, Rin, and hate some characters even more, Saber. I want Shiro growing to become a happy person. I expect Shiro to become a super duper man. I want and expect... Oh, okay. I want... I actually didn't like Saber first time through, but like her more with each re-journey. Yeah, opinions are interesting. Oh, so something you want. Shiro growing to become a happy person. I expect Shiro becomes a super duper man. Want and expect. Gilgamesh kills Saber and lets Shiro go, and then he bangs Ilya and Rin and Sakura. You want and expect? Excuse me? I think you're joking. I don't see much seeding for that. But, yeah, it's just something I've been thinking about with stuff like my thoughts on Naruto twists and turns, thoughts on Game of Thrones as well. Game of Thrones is kind of infamous. I don't want to talk too much about this, I guess, for those who don't know, so I won't give any specific examples. But it's kind of infamous for subverting expectations. But there's a big difference between subverting something that someone expects and wants, and subverting something that someone just expects, or something just wants. When they expect it because of things that have been seeded in the plot, and when they want it at the same time, and you subvert it, well then they're like, well, you better be fucking good if you're doing that. There are a couple examples of things I wanted to see happen, and expected, and then that completely didn't happen because the story went through a left turn, but there was always some kind of new potential gain that was not there before the subversion. At least as far as I've gotten. Of course, I haven't gotten to the, dreaded Season 8. But, if Season 8 does drop the ball, that would be why. Is that if they're subverting these expectations that people want, they need something good in its place. And if they give nothing good in its place, then of course people are going to be salty. But it's just, something I've thought about. Naruto as well, I was thinking about. There's a lot of directions they went that I did not like. And, the more I thought about it, But as I said, I think mystery authors have it the toughest. They have it the hardest, because with mystery authors, there's always the idea that there's going to be a twist. Otherwise, it's not a mystery, right? It's the idea of, for Zero Escape or Danganronpa. Again, no spoilers, but, there's a Monokuma, and there's the identity of Zero, and it's like, well, this is going to be someone, right? And it's going to be a twist. So it's probably someone we know, right? So you expect a plot twist. And so it's all the more expected. But because it's a mystery author, it's different than just a twist in general. It's an expected twist. And so you want it to be interesting. So if you think you see the seeds and you're like... And then there's all the more red herring seeds. Whereas red herring seeds are harder to predict when the twist could be anything. They're easier to predict and think they have to be there. It's like almost the red herring is predictable, or at least you think it should be predictable because it's an inherent mystery. It's like... It's the sort of thing like... I think horror works best not in horror. And in some cases, I think mystery works best not in mystery. That's not always true, but it depends on the chops of the author of the mystery. Because you expect, if you like mysteries and expect the twists, that, well, you want them to be interesting because you see it coming, and so you're like, well, these have to be red herrings, there has to be something super cool, as opposed to not necessarily expecting anything in particular. And, when you're in the mystery genre, you expect that reveal, and you expect it to be some juicy twist, whereas if you're in just some action-adventure genre that doesn't necessarily have, it might have a mystery alongside it, but you might not be expecting it, that when it happens, it's like, oh, that's awesome! Whereas if you're in the mystery genre, you're like, well, there has to be a mystery. Oh, what's this mystery? What's that mystery? What's this mystery? And then, so there's more onus on the author to deliver, as it were, and more possibility of them falling flat if the person, if it doesn't live up to the... that's the thing about mysteries in general, is that if the drive of the mystery is, ooh, it's going to be cool, the cool idea of finding out, then when you find out, it better actually be cool. Otherwise, that makes that's the thing. Writing by the seat of your pants, the hardest part of writing by the seat of your pants, which is coming up with it as it goes, is mysteries. Because, you got to seed the mystery, but you got to seed red herrings, but then, Yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing. As a big fan of mysteries, a thing I thought a lot about is the idea of, Saber as a character is fine. I don't care much about her place in the plot and her romantic relationship with Shiro, because I feel like it hasn't advanced Shiro in an interesting way as a character so far. Focus more on they both see each other in each other, want all their flaws and trauma. unless I want to fuck Saber Shiro. I'm a horn dog, so I like it. Would you say this is the same for series that are known for being subversive? There is a double-edged sword to making your series subversive, because you could argue it's the Game of Thrones factor. It depends on how you're making it subversive. If a series is subversive and gets its kicks off being subversive because the status quo is boring, I tend to agree the status quo is boring. But then there does become a reputation of, well, you have to be subversive now. But that tends to come into conflict of things you want and things you expect. If you want and expect something, and that's subverted, and it was something you want, then you're like, well, fuck, I wanted that. Don't subvert that. Or if you do, you better make something good in its place. But, you know, the more you get invested in a story, and the more you think and want something, the more subversions are going to piss you off. And maybe when you're just in the budding aspects of a series and aren't that into it yet, there's nothing you want that much. And therefore, subverting expectations can only be good because you're not that into it yet. And the later you go, the later you're more likely to be into it and really wanting certain things, and the more not getting those things will really fuck with you. Even though you liked it for being subversive in the first place, you'll get invested and want certain things, or expect it to subvert in a certain way, and if it doesn't subvert that way, or if it does subvert a way that you didn't want it to subvert from because you got invested, it's a hard job, that's true, for a series that prides itself on being subversive, like Game of Thrones, for example. Because you have to make subversive, but also make it something they want. Even if they thought they want something before the subversion, you have to make sure that they want the thing that happens after the subversion just as much as what they wanted before the subversion, or they're going to be, you know, they're going to be ticked off. Very non-horny person, so I focus more on the connection between characters in romance relationships than horniness. But that's the thing, though. There's this idea of anyone can die. That's something that really gets my rocks off, if I'm being honest. I love Anyone Can Die. Now, one of my favorite shows is One Piece, and Case Closed. Case Closed, there's constant people dying, but it's usually random people you don't know. But the thing about both of those is that they don't have people dying, and that's fine. There's a certain satisfaction of predictability, though. There's a certain idea of knowing that, you know, they'll make it through and they'll solve the case, or they'll do this, and, like, that's exciting in its own right. But there's a different kind of excitement gotten from, oh my gosh, this character that I think I like could fucking die at any time. And that makes the plights more real. It depends on what you're trying to do with the story. If you're trying to make the tension of this character, ooh, is this character gonna die in this battle? Like, if you're trying to go for that tension only really works if you've set up an Anyone Can Die setting. And I do tend to enjoy the tension. But the tension can, in my opinion, that's the thing, though. I think the tension can only be properly enjoyed in Anyone Can Die series. And I think One Piece and Case Closed, stuff like that, generally don't bother trying to fake the audience out with, is this person really dead? They generally don't bother with that kind of thing, because they know they're not that kind of series. I do enjoy that tension, and that tension, in my opinion, doesn't really work unless you're in an Anyone Can Die series. It's not Anyone Can Die itself that I like, it's the tension and actually being able to care about that tension. So, yeah, like, if you're in a series, and you're in a series with people, like, you know, that's why the idea of, oh, does this series actually have balls, or if it's just faking it. But yeah, I'm a big fan of series that have balls and have that tension. I guess that's what's more fair to say, is I like the tension. And you can only really enjoy the victories of those who live if, you know, you see the people that are dying are like, oh shit, if they can really die. So sometimes they do have to really die and make you sad, but that, you know, it's a whole thing where it's the tension you want, and you don't need that tension for a good story, I think. Like, you know, plots of One Piece are pretty predictable. You know that, you know, the good guy's gonna win, but the fun comes from seeing how he wins and all that and stuff like that, and seeing all the interactions, and like, but if you're trying to make that part of the enjoyment, if you're trying to make the tension of, will they really win, and you know how to pull those strings, most authors know how to pull those strings. If you're gonna try, then have some balls and actually kill some characters, is my notion, because that's the only way I'm gonna really care. But then once you start killing characters, there is the idea of, well, once you kill this character, if they were in the middle of some kind of character arc, it gets halted. That's a thing I've seen happen in some shows that have, you know, have the anyone can die mentality is they'll have a character arc and be mid-character arc, and I feel like they're going somewhere and they'll just die. And that makes it kind of tricky is, well, okay, make it still satisfying even though that character arc went nowhere. And it can be, because sometimes it's in real life, people are going through something, they're going through a change, and they just tragically die before it goes somewhere. But you still need to make something interesting of it beyond just, oh, the character arc went nowhere. Because I feel like if you do that and someone was really looking forward to where it went, that's when you really fuck the pooch, as it were. That's why I love Rin's relationship with Shiro, because they both bounce off each other, affect each other, and just have a generally fun relationship to read. I suppose it's kind of weird, though. I've always thought it was kind of weird. Not necessarily bad weird, but weird. A superhero died. Okay, taking bets on when they're coming back. Okay, yeah, that's the other thing. I don't really care about comics in general, but comics are pretty infamous for one writer killing a character, and then another writer being like, I want them alive. And that's the thing. If you're going to make a series, that's another thing. If you're going to make a series where characters' tension is real, then the characters have to die for good, in my opinion. Once you bring a character back to life, I feel like you've shattered that. Unless you bring them back to life in such a way that it was clearly a hard-fought process, and bringing more characters back to life in the future will not be easy. I feel like if you do that, you can still have real tension. But you've got to be very careful. And there's definitely several series I've seen that try to do the whole, oh, characters really die, tension mentality, and also bring characters back to life. And I'm like, I feel like you fucked yourself. There are other series that bring characters back to life, and I'm like, you know what? That was hard fought enough that I'm willing to accept it. In fact, I'll talk about a couple examples right now, because they're not spoilers, because they're baked into the premise. And I think that's the ticket, really. If they're baked into the premise that characters can potentially come back to life, then it won't piss someone off when they do come back to life. Two series that I can think of are Gantz and Dragon Ball. Now, they're very different in this aspect. Dragon Ball, the idea is you have these Dragon Balls, and you have to find them all and get a wish. I think from the beginning, there's the notion of, well, if you find them all, you can wish for someone to come back to life. And eventually it's used that way. But later in the series, the characters get so strong and so good that they can find the balls like that. And so character death becomes a slap in the face. Characters dying means nothing at this point. It only means something if everyone dies. So at that point, character death and tension is out the window for Dragon Ball. But Gantz is the other example I would bring up. Gantz is different. In Gantz, characters, they die a lot, and from the beginning, there's this notion that people can come back because the way Gantz works, I won't get too much into it, but basically, they themselves already died. They're just clones. And they're playing a game, and if they win the game, if they get enough points, they can make a new clone of someone who already died, which that in itself makes moral complications, because it's not bringing them back, it's making a new clone based off someone who was already a clone because their original version died. But the idea is that getting all those points is fucking hard, and so many people die in the process that, if someone comes back every now and then, A, there's the moral implications that are interesting about them just being clones, but B, it's so hard and so rare for people to come back, and it's baked into the premise that I can still have the tension when people die. And so I feel like you can have people coming back to life in a series that die and still have it maintain the tension, and I think Gantz is one of the few series I've done that does that and maintains the tension properly. But yeah, I feel like generally baking the coming back to life potential into the premise in an Anyone Can Die, Keep Tension series is, I think, important. If you don't bake it in and it comes about randomly later, I feel like that's when you break suspension for the viewer generally. You can still make it work, I guess. I just don't know if I've ever seen it work. Debatable. It's just that once you've seen them introduce out of nowhere an aspect of bringing back to life that you've never seen before, even if it was a hard fought, it's like, well, I didn't even know that was an option, and now suddenly it's an option, and who knows how many times they're going to introduce some new option to conveniently bring back a character who I thought was permanently dead in the future, which makes it hard to take stakes seriously. Which is why I feel at the heart of it, if there's going to be bringing back to life, it should be baked into the premise that that's an option. Because if it comes out of nowhere, I, as the viewer, question, well, even if this was hard-fought, how do I know you won't just have some new convenient hard-fought solution in the future, or some new, just whatever's convenient? But anyways, sorry, I think we're pretty much done here. I've been rambling, but whatever. I don't care about the Anyone Can Die, like all tropes, it can be done in whatever way. A lot of works focus on death having to be the only consequence. Tension can be found in other ways. I know, but if tension comes from actually if they live or die, that only works in Anyone Can Die series, in my opinion. You can have tension in other ways, you can find enjoyment in other ways, but if you want that live or die tension, that only works if they actually, a lot of characters actually die. And I enjoy that a lot, so. If the author has done their job well in establishing characters, I'll care what happens to their character even if they don't have the tension of death. I mean, sure, I agree, it's just that the tension of life or death, to me, is exciting, and I do enjoy that greatly, so. Problem with The Walking Dead, Walking Dead is a weird example. The Walking Dead is very much a character study show, as far as I'm concerned. I enjoy The Walking Dead, but it doesn't really have a plot. I'm not caught up. I'm only like 5 or something seasons in, I don't know. But, I enjoy it, but like, the plot is basically an excuse to go through character arcs and have character introspection, and I enjoy it for that reason. Characters do die, but I feel like the character deaths, it's not the same kind of thing of tension of live or die. It is kind of sometimes, but more than that, to me, The Walking Dead, when characters die, it's more how does this affect other characters, and how does this affect their character study. Sometimes characters dying means that, you know, you won't see more of their character, and that just means that's the end of their arc. And I don't mind that, it's just The Walking Dead, to me, it's not the same tension. It's more about character study, and the death is a service to the character studies. But, that's how I look at The Walking Dead, at least. I have not caught up, though. If you overdo death, people will just stop caring. I don't think that's true. I think you can overdo death and have people not stop caring. But that's the thing. They won't care if it's someone you don't know very well. And if you overdo death and kill characters before people get even a chance to like them in the first place, then yes, the death won't really matter as much. That is true. You can overdo it, but at the same time, I think non-stop constant deaths doesn't mean you are overdoing it. It's all in how it's handled. Everyone can die, so who fucking cares in investing in them? That's true, but there's a difference between everyone will die and anyone can die. There is the idea of, oh, it's exciting to see them live because you think there is a chance of living, but there's also a chance of dying. There does have to be sort of a balance, in theory, but in theory. In practice, depending on how they pull it off, they can't have characters constantly die and you care about them. I feel as long as there's a select few that live, I feel you can still make it work. If literally everyone dies, literally everyone, then yeah, it becomes hard to care because, well, if everyone's gonna die, why do I care? I do think that's true. But I think my notion of overdoing it is maybe past the point of what most people might think. Depends on how it's handled. That's in works when the author uses character death as a crutch for tension. Yeah, I suppose. I prefer character death as a crutch for tension over character living when they have a fake-out death. I fucking hate fake-out deaths. I don't know. Like the idea of, oh, they're dead because we want that juiciness of you thinking they're dead and being sad, but then they're still alive. To me, that pisses me off way more than killing off a character as a crutch for tension. Like, killing off characters as a crutch for tension can, you know, be a little like, oh, their death was meaningless. I can think that sometimes, but their death being meaningless doesn't really bug me. It's just like, oh, you should have done more with the character, in my opinion. But it's not something that really pisses me off. Back in my original opinion, character deaths, like all elements of work, depends on the skill of the author, but it's not essential for tension. No, it's not, but it is essential for my favorite kind of tension, in my opinion. In The Walking Dead? Oh, you mean that they're actually getting more of a plot and later on? I don't know. Like, I don't see how The Walking Dead is going, like, I don't see it having any kind of interesting conclusion. To me, The Walking Dead is kind of a soap opera, as far as I've gotten. Maybe it gets bad later. But as far as I've gotten, it feels like a soap opera of a constant, ongoing series of events that I enjoy, but, like, no conclusion would ever really be satisfying. Kind of like a soap opera. When a soap opera ends, no one's really happy. You just want to keep watching the soap opera. I have similar feelings of other series like that as well, but there's that idea of the ending doesn't matter. Which I'm a big fan of endings, but I also can enjoy the soap opera nature. It's just, you know, there's a clear distinction, I think. Sometimes fake-out deaths are used well, but usually they're crap. Yeah. Fake-out deaths, I'm not saying they can't be used well. Every trope is a tool, and the author... a trope is only as good as the author can make it, but I feel like fake-out deaths... They are 99% of the time, I fucking hate them. They can be used well. I'm not saying they can't. It's just they usually aren't, and I hate them. Because they sour, because they're the reason that I need characters to constantly die to have that tension. You know, when you're growing up and you're a little kid, you're like, is that character actually going to die? My favorite character? No, there's no way they'll die. When you grow up, you get genre savvy, and you're like, there's no way they'll actually die. And even if it looks like they'll die, you're like, this is a kid show. Of course they're not going to actually die. And even when it's an older people show, it's like, do you really have the balls to kill off a main character? They have to prove they have the balls for me to start caring. And I don't know, that's why I like when the author does prove they have the balls. And I feel like when the author does prove they have the balls, I'm less annoyed at fake out deaths. An author that actually genuinely does kill a lot bugs me less when they do fake out deaths. Because I feel like they've earned it. They've earned the right to do that because they've shown that, you know, oh, characters can really die, so fake out deaths are okay because you know that, you know, maybe they really did die. And like, oh, I feel like that's the only time fake out deaths really work, in my opinion, because if the author has not proved that they have balls to actually kill, then to me it never really works on me, the idea that maybe they did kill. Yeah. The Walking Dead turned into BS, fake outs and characters dying right when they started to get somewhat well developed. Anyways, I have to, this Vienna is the quasi-region where main character deaths happen, but they don't really matter. Right, because that's the whole thing about, you know, multiple pathways in a visual novel, is does it matter? I hope it matters. I like it when visual novels, there's, like, even if there is a true ending, each ending in itself can still be respected as an enjoyable ending that you can just enjoy and not think, oh, it's a downer ending, the only ending that matters is the final one. Because if the ending matters, then character deaths in that pathway then suddenly matter. Even if the true ending, a certain character lives or dies that didn't in some other ending, if you like that ending and that's your favorite ending, then that could become real to you and the deaths there matter. So, there's that notion too. Anyways, I'm gonna stop for now. See you guys next time. Still have an outro phrase, blah blah blah. Video, games, YouTube, goodbye. Stop recording.